640 kilobytes of base RAM tested. Something megabytes of extended RAM. Okay. HiMem is testing extended memory. Done. Now loading Windows and checking audio. Something megabytes of extended RAM. Okay. I sound like a person again. Ain't that awesome? What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay. Attempt number 2 at this sort of stream thing, because I got everything set to public and everything, right? Yeah. So I was doing some stuff with my sound sources during the past week, what little time I had, when I didn't feel like I just wanted to zonk out in front of ESO or some other streamer while playing ESO. But something changed somewhere in the OBS setup, and I basically wound up sounding like a robot. I mean, something changed. I'm glad to sound like a person again. But I came back, fired everything up. The alerts are still broken because I really don't know what I'm going to do with this Stream Elements thing. Probably going to migrate the alerts over to Streamlabs and have like a mix of things on the various services. Actually, a little redundancy wouldn't be that bad of a thing, because that way when a service screws up, I just change over to the other service, especially if I don't change the alerts that often and stuff like that. So have different alert boxes and turn one on and the other off whenever something is a problem like that. But we'll sort that out some other time. So yeah, Project EVTO was a mistake. Let's see if anybody ever shows up to this thing. I wouldn't be surprised if nobody did, because I kind of vanished for a week. But we know how it goes on YouTube. Although it seems like sometimes YouTube doesn't even know how their own platform works. And I think one of the biggest things that YouTube needs to look at is the emphasis they have on subscribers for things like, for example, getting people partnered and onboarding people to the partner program, because the subscription system is probably the next thing that's borderline obsolete. There are so many algorithms on YouTube nowadays that there's an entire chunk of people who are clicking on videos not because they probably don't even use the subscription system whatsoever. They just go off of whatever the algorithms put on their front page or something like that. It's just sub, ring the bell, and this doesn't help things either that YouTube has created a system where just simply subscribing to someone has been made into a total project. Oh, it's not enough just to subscribe, because the default setting is personalized notifications. In other words, you clicked the button that said, I want to watch this YouTuber, please show me their stuff, but the algorithms are going to be like, no, we're still going to either show you or not show you their stuff, depending on whether or not you've recently watched or something along those lines. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So the way to get around that, maybe, is to click the bell instead of all notifications, which, by the way, notifications for live streams are tied to your bell settings. So if you just subscribe to someone on YouTube, there's a chance you'll never even know that they're streaming, even though you told the system, I want to see their stuff. That's the YouTube of 2022, a persistent source of disappointment. And this is why people are trying out other things like Twitch streaming and TikTok live and playing around on Facebook and stuff like that, is because they just feel like where they're at doesn't do enough for them. And then, of course, you have all these gurus out there getting clicks on their videos and making money off of other people's frustration, only to tell them, yeah, it's probably not a platform with discoverability anymore. Go do something else. And so then they'll go do something else until that platform starts to suck. And then, there's no discoverability there either. So where are we supposed to, in any way, grow an audience? Where are we supposed to get our stuff seen? Why does it have to be such a fight to get our stuff seen by anybody, anywhere? It's like, with Twitch, the entire UI and the business model of Twitch is basically, it makes money off of kingmakers to an extent. Basically, it's more along the lines of Twitch royalty. Have a bunch of large streamers that are reliable enough so the audience never leaves. So, I don't know. Let's go through a little bit of recap here, and let's take a look at some things with regards to everything else that's going on. Because, yeah, I haven't been around for a week, and there's darn good reason for that. It's probably a good, it's a good thing that I didn't do this yesterday, because yesterday I would have been a lot angrier. Probably would have been swearing a lot. Now that I've had a chance to actually get a little bit of sleep, a little bit of a different story. But yeah, title of the stream, Project EVTO was a mistake. Project EVTO was a mistake. This one's probably going to get demonetized and stay that way, because quite frankly, I've about had it with running up a down escalator feeling that applies to pretty much everything that I do these days. Everything. And to other things too. Like whoever this no-life dumbass is that keeps disliking all my streams. And I know they're subscribed with the bell set to all notifications, because when the stream goes to unlisted, if I leave it there, it'll eventually get disliked by this person who has made it their life's mission to dislike every single one of my streams. And it's only the streams. We don't see this hatred for the videos. Yeah, we don't see this kind of hatred for the videos. It's stream, 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 stream. Get over yourself. Live streaming is part of YouTube. YouTube people are talking about live streaming and best practices for live streaming. Streaming on YouTube has its niche, particularly among people who don't want to be full-time streamers. And of course, it's also a platform where there's no emphasis on concurrence, so it's not part of the culture to belittle somebody based on their concurrent viewers. So if you're somebody who is starting from scratch or something along those lines, and you come on here and you stream, it doesn't mean as much as if you grind away and can't get Twitch affiliate, because Twitch is a kingmaker system with its own little class of royalty, and so everybody else, well, gets treated like garbage. I'm looking at you, Twitch affiliates, who've gotten indefinitely suspended for something completely stupid that the big folks get away with. And the big streamers, they get away with a lot. Now, occasionally one will be made an example by the banning system, but I mean, when I see big streamer Twitch ambassador threaten someone on stream, nothing happens. And then I see small streamer tell an off-color joke, indefinite suspension, spends 4 months getting their account back because of something that was misinterpreted. That's all I need to see. But if that wasn't all I needed to see, the numbers are all I need to see. Let me just look at Statista here. Let me just punch up some Statista numbers. Statista, largest social media platforms. Is there a new one? Let's see. Last updated in March. Darn Amazon speaker. I gotta change the keywords for that. Oh no, it's still the same as it was in January. It's still the same as it was. It was a January survey, so. Yeah, Facebook's the largest, YouTube's the second largest, WhatsApp, Instagram, WeChat in China, TikTok, Facebook Messenger, Douyin, QQ, Sina Weibo, Kuaishou, Snapchat, Telegram. Telegram's pretty big too. Telegram's actually bigger than Twitter. Reddit, and then there's Reddit and Quora. You don't see, even if can we expand it any? No, it's still the way it was back when I last showed it on screen. You don't see Twitch in this list ever. I mean, Twitch is done. They're just done at this point. Yeah, large streaming platform. Yeah, that's the only thing they have going for them. They're a big fish in a small pond. I don't know if if you folks have been following my Twitter, you should be familiar with Devin Nash having come over to YouTube and streaming on YouTube and actually giving his justifications for stream. I saw a link to the stream if he hasn't taken it down by now. He was doing an interview with Amaranth, but he actually spent the first chunk of the stream waiting for Amaranth to jump on the call. And he spent the first chunk of the stream talking about multimedia meta type stuff and why he made the switch to YouTube and why he's completely walking away from his Twitch partnership in order to stream on YouTube. And I mean, like, he's not even, I thought he would wait for the contract to expire. But no, he's actually just completely, he may never come back to the platform ever again, despite being what he was on like the Scuff podcast and stuff. It's crazy. I mean, no, I don't want Twitch, Google Chrome. I want Twitter. Let's put some tweets on the screen, link up to everything, and some other stuff too. And we shall, let's see, what is it? Amaranth, Where's the thing where Devin Nash? Yeah. Welcome to YouTube Live, Mr. Nash. Load up. Let's see. Let me just get a screenshot on the screen for this. Let's watch on YouTube. Wow, this is big. Because I have... I'm at like maximum size. Control 0, please. Control 0, please. Yeah, there we go. Let's just freeze it there. We can probably close the chat replay as well. Unmotivated streamers. There's a bunch of Devin Nash videos populating the sidebar. Let's link up to my Chrome, and let's put stream health in for the other stuff here. Let's put stream health in for the other stuff here and link up. Open up browser mode. Let's go browser mode. Yeah, see, it goes straight to live control room because I was looking at YouTube last time. Look at this empty little stream. Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, You really want to take streaming seriously? I don't think so. Check 1, 2. Is this still? I don't sound like a robot just for. Yeah, YouTube. Oh, good. All right. Here he is. I said this would happen. There it is. Devin Nash. Stream live 20 hours ago, unlisted, how Amaranth became Twitch's #1 female creator. But he spent the first chunk of the stream before Amaranth jumped on the call talking about what he's up to and multimedia meta type stuff and YouTube versus Twitch. The very kind of stuff that I talk about and why he made the switch. I predicted a long time. I predicted, when did I predict that? Let me actually head back to full cam for this one. When actually did I predict that? Live how Amaranth, blah, blah, blah. It's on Twitter. Let me go back to my Twitter feed here. I made the prediction that Devin Nash would eventually become a YouTube streamer. Let's see here. September 3rd. These things creak when you have an itchy eye underneath them. September 3rd, 2021. Let's see here. I'm kind of surprised he didn't wait until the end of his partner contract in order to do it. But yeah, let's put that on the screen, shall we? In that surprise YouTube stream yesterday, Devin Nash mentioned he's had enough of Twitch and basically admitted he's a YouTuber now, and streaming will only be part of what he does, which is what being a YouTuber is. Streaming is part of what you do. The bread and butter of your channel is videos and shorts, as evidenced by, if you emphasize streaming, you'd better bring an audience with you because you are at a disadvantage because of YouTube's UI shortcomings and whatnot, and the algorithmic nature of how YouTube works. As predicted, he just didn't wait until the end of his partner contract to do it. September 3rd, 2021. Wild prediction. Devin Nash's objections to Twitch are a smokescreen to running out his current partner contract and then becoming a YouTube streamer when it's up. I was half right. I figured he'd come over. He was saying lots of nice things about YouTube and constantly saying bad things about Twitch. I kind of figured it was only a matter of time before he stepped away from, he basically broke his own Twitch bowl, so to speak, and took a look at the wonderful world outside of a little niche platform that has absolutely no chance of being anything more than what it is. It's like they have expansion categories, they're less stuffy, but that's the extent of Twitch's progress towards becoming a more general purpose platform. I mean, Twitch is about the size of Daily Motion, if you want to talk about, hours watched and things like that these days. It's just that so much of it is streams, and these other platforms aren't really doing much for streams to support them. So much of it is streams that it just makes Twitch look big because they're a big fish in a small pond. But yeah, Devin Nash, and he's involved in offline stuff now, running it with Novo and the other stuff that isn't even as tied to content creators as it used to be, but there's plenty of money coming in. So he basically epitomizes the part-time content creator, basically conquering all the crap that sinks full-time content creators. And it doesn't just mean streamers either. I mean, I've been watching for years YouTubers get big enough to go full-time, and then their channel sucks because now they've introduced the complexity of having to pay the bills with their YouTube videos. So that now affects their ability to be creative, which is the very thing that got them their audience in the first place, is people liking what specifically they were doing. And now they can't do as much of that stuff anymore because now they're torn between the money side of YouTube and and the creative side of YouTube. And so I've been watching this become a thing and stay a thing for years. It's like, why would you want to be a full-time content creator if you don't think like, I want to make money off of making videos, and if you are anything at all like an artist, get out. Part-time only. Do not go full-time as a content creator, because if you value your creative freedom, if you want to get to the point where Devin Nash and Ninja and other folks who don't have to give a darn anymore are at, you're not going to get that unless you do something else money-wise. So look at YouTube and how YouTube has declined. Look at Twitch and how that's a house of cards. And then look at the limited monetization available for like funds and stuff that you see on other platforms that are experimenting with this stuff. Look at what you see with that. And then you try telling me that content creation is in any way worth it. It isn't. It's not worth it as a full-time job. You will be limited, full stop. Especially, I got to the point where I grew to the point where I need to, hire a team in order to keep putting stuff out, for people to watch. I grew and whatnot, but now, oh no, I'm stuck. I got to keep the business going. So the business takes over the channel. And some content creators don't even stay in their own businesses. Great example will be React. Fine Brothers Entertainment. The Fine Brothers left. They don't have an active role anymore. It's in the Wikipedia page for that kind of stuff. But sometimes they just leave the businesses they build. And Amaranth's about to do that with, she wants to branch off into other stuff, but she will still have a team to help and develop and manage e-girl talent. So in a sense, she's the founder moving on to other things. She is the founder that's moving on to other things, but her business can still have, she can still have customers for her business here. So what else has been going on over on Twitter? Let's see. So yeah, Devin Nash came over. Why don't we just get back to the topic at hand and stay on it? No, I don't see why that has to be such a project. Devin Nash, as predicted, welcome to YouTube. Welcome to YouTube Live. He's been on YouTube for a long time, but I figured with what he was saying about Twitch and what he was saying about YouTube, that he would eventually just start streaming on YouTube. The big thing with Devin Nash is that he didn't wait for the partner contract to expire. And this gets to a lot of interesting things, because if you look at, the partner contracts are individually negotiated, but let's look at the affiliate contract. The main remedy to a breach of contract that Twitch gives themselves if you are a Twitch affiliate is to just not pay you. If you're violating, for example, your unless they kick you out of the affiliate program completely, if you're violating like the 24-hour rule or something along those lines, or you're multi-streaming or whatnot, they reserve the right to just take your money. And they reserve the right to take your money. The thing is, though, I'm starting to think, especially after Devin Nash pulled this little stunt, I'm thinking, is there teeth to a lot of what Twitch can do to try and leverage creators, unless creators are completely wound up in the Twitch ecosystem and would actually be hurt by it? Very, very interesting. So let's take Twitch affiliate, for example. The rinky-dink monetization is not the only good thing about Twitch affiliate. The other thing you get you get one sub. That's $2.50. If you get your one sub on Twitch as an affiliate, that's $2.50 a month. Get the calculator out. The payout threshold on Twitch is the same as it is on YouTube, $100. So if you can't maintain more than one sub per month, you're going to go 40 months before Twitch ever pays you, divided by 12. About 3 years. You're going to stream for 3 years at one sub. If you maintain one sub consistently, 3 years and change, it's 3 years and change of maintaining that level of being a small streamer before Twitch will actually pay you something. Congratulations. That's the wonderful world of monetization that's limited by live streams. And if your content isn't live, it's dead. So monetization on Twitch at that level, this is garbage. This is why Devin Nash has his video about never be a Twitch affiliate, because, but here's the thing. If you don't get kicked out of the affiliate program and Twitch just takes your money, the other thing you get with Twitch affiliate is higher priority for transcoding, and that is a lot more useful. Because over here on YouTube, transcoding is baseline. It's something that you could be completely new to streaming, and you can be completely new to streaming and you'll get it. Matter of fact, let me just pop open this zero viewer Andy stream right now, streaming, and let me just take a look at the little gear menu. Yeah, I got full transcoding from 144p up to 1080p. And I'm going to like my own stream just to be a douche. So, why not? I mean, I know I've got some bozo out there that just hates every stream that I do for no intelligent reason, so whatever. So, yeah, I mean, if first of all, Twitch needs to find out that you're doing it. Second, Twitch needs to actually go to all the trouble to sanction you for it. But I mean, if they just take all your money, what are they taking? The only real issue The only real move that Twitch can make that would be substantial to a Twitch affiliate who isn't like following the 24-hour rule or whatever is to kick him out of the affiliate program and terminate the agreement. That's the only thing that has any real meat to it. And in the case of Devin Nash, or a Twitch partner who is quitting Twitch cold turkey, unless there is some kind of early termination thing in the contract, like some kind of early termination penalty of some sort or whatever. You know, quitting Twitch cold turkey as a partner, if you're already making money from somewhere else, you can afford to pay the separation cost or whatever of Twitch taking your last payout, or just do this right after your last substantial payout. Look at Devin Nash. Devin's been off the platform. There's no money for him to lose because he hasn't been streaming for months. So what he can do is just take his last Twitch payout, let things sit for a bit, and then just walk away. And if Twitch pulls his partnership status, he's already said he's not going to use the platform anymore. No, he just needed, like you said, he'd need a different pass to get into like TwitchCon. You have to be a VIP as a member of the media instead of an actual Twitch partner or something like that. So, I mean, he could still technically go to some kind of Twitch partner party if he was like a member, considered a member of the media. But by and large, I mean, what really is, unless there's some kind of early termination penalty or something like that, or something along those lines, what exactly does Twitch have if someone just completely walks away from the platform cold turkey? I don't really see very much. So for Devin to do what he did is pretty shrewd. But it really showcases just why being a part-time content creator is such a good thing when the platform doesn't have you by the throat. You have more freedom as a part-time content creator to do stuff like this. I mean, if Devin was involved and living off of Twitch subs, like some typical Twitch grinder who doesn't really understand business outside of, I play Call of Duty and everybody watches. I mean, if somebody was doing that, it's a lot more of a threat to them if they never smarten up. But if they make it to where they can just stop cold turkey after take the last Twitch payment, then kind of look like they're taking a hiatus from streaming and then just never come back. Interesting. So I think this really speaks to, again, the importance of not putting your eggs into the Twitch basket, especially when you consider I don't know whether I want to do this on YouTube or on Twitch with all the VOD barfers out there these days. I want to start a collection of streamer clips. Whenever I watch a streamer and they're doing IRL and somebody thinks they're on YouTube, I want to start showcasing just how many of those there are. Maybe make a blog entry over on, it would have to be YouTube if I do the blog entry, because Twitch doesn't embed well on WordPress. At least it hasn't. The last time I tried it, it didn't. Maybe things have gotten better since then. I'm actually very seriously thinking of making some kind of blog entry with these VOD channels. If I start watching a lot of Twitch VODs, I want to make clips of every single time people think that a Twitch streamer is a YouTuber, as a way of showcasing the differences in the sizes of the platforms. That would be cool. That would showcase very well just why, Twitch isn't as big as you think it is. And so many people out there, they create this false equivalence that Twitch is somehow a major competitor. It's not. It's niche. Very, very niche. Niche, however you want to say it. It is what it is. They're less stuffy, but just because they're less stuffy doesn't mean they become a comprehensive platform. They redid their UI, but just because they've redone their UI doesn't mean they've become a comprehensive platform. They're still primarily about live streaming, and the UI very much points you in that direction. And with the grinding that they require of their partners to make hour goals for hours streamed, I really don't see them designing. I really don't see many of these streamers designing their streams to be any better of a use of someone's time. So I think Twitch is what it is. There's people that want, if they want like Twitch, they'll go to Twitch. That's about as simple as I can make it. If they want Twitch, they can go to Twitch. So these people, it's gonna be an audience of people that wants something niche. They want the Twitch experience. Because the way Devin puts it, with the differences between Twitch and the general purpose platforms, it's pretty significant. And since we know that Amazon treats Twitch differently than Google treats YouTube, it's cemented at this point. Over 5 years of expansion categories, and the expansion categories, despite having the growth, constitute 12% of watch hours on Twitch. Majority is still gaming. The brand is still tied to gaming. The look and feel is very gamer-like. And then there's the audience. Why don't we just take a look at that? Let me just get something a little more up-to-date. TwitchAdvertising.tv. Yeah, it helps if I put the H in Twitch. Error 404. Where brands and communities intersect. Meet our audience. Let's see where we're at here. 1.3 trillion. What? Elmer fudding this thing here. 31 million average daily visitors. 8 million unique streamers go live every month. Oh. They've doubled it down. They've doubled down even more. Hey, look, a bunch of drag folks there too. Gamers, drag folks. It really shows the whole thing. Let's take a look at this. Here's the new number. Nearly 75% now of Twitch viewers are between the ages of 16 and 34. Well, that's what happens when the platform is like nearly 80% gaming after 5 years of expansion categories. Nearly 3/4 now, 16 to 34. It's a young people platform. It's a gaming platform. Then the people that are angry about it are just, they're fishing for clout. That's really all it is. This is AVGN versus Irate Gamer all over again. When that whole fiasco was going on back in the late 2000s, I saw people that thought that Irate Gamer was going to steal AVGN's thunder and AVGN was going to get relegated. And I was like, no. Irate Gamer is the store brand AVGN. He doesn't have the originality, and it is blatant that he's just copying James. He's not going to go as far, much in the same way that, you know, in music, bands that are blatantly copying another successful band's style, rarely do they one up the original band. So unless it's like they could get classed as a tribute band decades later. Like, what's that band again? That sounds just like Led Zeppelin. I don't know. Anyways, I think they were in Forza Horizon 4. I forgot what the name of it was. See, can't even remember the name of it. I remember Led Zeppelin just like that, but this band with the singer that sounds almost exactly like Robert Plant, no. So I have an easier time remembering. Actually, who was the guy that did the Mark Martel? I have an easier time remembering Mark Martel sounding like Freddie Mercury, but that's more recent. But what was the name of that? What was the name of that band? Let's see here. Forza Horizon 4 soundtrack rock. I'll know it when I see it. Matt Fangs, Turn It Up, Bass Drum of Death, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, blah blah blah, Duck Sauce, Fisher Spooner. No, not the Horizon Bass Arena. I want Horizon. See here. There we go. Greta Van Fleet. There we go. I had to do that much digging around to find the name of the band. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. So I knew that was going to be a thing. What even am I talking about? Yeah, I knew that was going to be a thing, though. Is that AVGN was not going to get dethroned by someone similar. And so I guess the same thing applies too. There's really no chance. Just because Twitch has expansion categories doesn't mean that they're going to dethrone YouTube. And just because there are like pretty girls looking photogenic and whatnot and getting viewers that way, doesn't mean that the platform is going to stop being gaming focused. Look where the watch hours are. Just chatting is the biggest category, but there's a lot of reasons unrelated to the success of the expansion why just chatting is as big as it is. But it's just still primarily it's gaming over there. Place to broadcast video games, and unfortunately they're small and niche, and it's between all the intimidation, the lack of a size really, and the fact that a lot of their numbers basically are padded to make them look better than they actually are. Like Twitch, for example, including the expansion categories and the quarterlies I used to look at, versus YouTube and Facebook being limited to just gaming streams only. So not even very even numbers there. But I'm looking for more data sources for that, by the way. Streamlabs, StreamHatchet, I just haven't seen anything for Q4 2021 anywhere. So I'm done with them. I think the scandals permanently broke the quarterly data reports. So I'm actually looking for my own data sources so I don't depend on a certain platform anymore or a certain report anymore, even StreamHatchet. Whether I have to learn how to work with the API or something along those lines to query data, I got to take a look at that. There's got to be something like similar to Solynome technology or something out there. There's got to be a way to get that stuff. I'm looking for hours watched versus hours streamed to watch the audience ratios to see how relatively saturated all the platforms are. But even that, isn't totally a one-size-fits-all reason. I mean, YouTube has very good numbers compared to Twitch in that area, but that doesn't change the fact that YouTube has a leadership problem with streaming right now. Fwiz left for a Web3 opportunity, and there's really kind of been a vacuum ever since in terms of who runs YouTube gaming. But at the very same time, there's also the UI. And YouTube at the start of the year, more general leadership at YouTube, like vice presidents and stuff, talked about improving the live streaming thing, but they're not addressing the UI limitations of YouTube. And the fact that YouTube runs backwards compared to something like Twitch. On Twitch, we said this so many times, you as a viewer decide you want to watch streamers. So you go to Twitch and you find one to watch. On YouTube, it's backwards. The UI is not friendly to specifically finding streamers to watch. But if you already follow certain YouTubers and you express interest in their streams, then the system will let you know when they're live, or you'll be able to see them in the much smaller box off to the left. That's YouTube streaming. It's basically an extension of what you already do. You might as well hybrid stream if you don't have an audience and make videos out of your streams. Actually, I got to test that out. I actually have to test that. I want to test that out to see if the clipping feature has been fixed, because I've had reason to believe that YouTube might be silently working on that behind the scenes, where using the cloud editor to remove the dull bits from your streams doesn't stop people from being able to clip the finished product. They just got to figure out what to do about the clips that are from the old version of the stream. So let's say, I'm streaming Fortnite and I get this big win in Fortnite and someone clips it, and then I go to the door because pizza's here and I'm away from the computer for 5 minutes. So afterwards I go into the cloud editor to take out that dull bit from the stream for people watching the replay. Does it break clip functionality for the person that made the clip of my big win in Fortnite? Something we got to test out. I'm tempted to do like a test stream of some sort. Or actually, no. If I reread that monologue about the E-Machine and the history of it, that's going to be the test stream for YouTube. And we'll use that as the test stream for YouTube. It's because I don't, clipping things out of context from that can be a little weird because I'm reading off a story and whatnot. So whenever I get around to doing that, we'll probably have that as the test stream, and we'll just have a little moment of silence at the start of the stream and then clip that out. Because I think if you clip the start or the end, it doesn't affect things as much. Now I got to see if it'll support clipping in the middle. Because really, when you think about YouTube streaming and its progression into transition, I should say, into being a YouTube video, because that's basically how it works on YouTube. Your streams are basically videos that you're recording off the cuff. If you think about it, you stream live, people get the live experience as well as the problems. So, oh, I'm hungry, I got to order food, oh, the pizza's here, I'll be back in 5 minutes, that kind of thing. Then afterwards, who's going to want to sit through all of that when you can go in with a very robust cloud editor and chop out all the dull bits so that people watching after the fact get a better experience for watching an old stream, essentially. An old stream is only something that exists because of Twitch culture. There really is no reason for streams to be so perishable, especially if it's treated like a special event or an ongoing show or a podcast or something like that. Have you ever watched a podcast? Have you ever watched a podcast after the fact? Have you ever watched a podcast after the fact, or listened to, or something like that, or even a radio show? Have you ever actually, looked at something like that after the fact? Of course you have. It's a show. It's a show. You might have it on as background noise after the fact, even though it's not live. So why does that have to be the case with streams? That's what YouTube, by the way, the VOD culture over here is kind of starting to go in the direction of here. See here, what do we have? Let's refresh, see if the bozo showed up yet. Nope, not yet. I'm sure they will at some point. But hey, demonetized. These darn robots. Let's look at some other Twitter things too with regards to this. So the chapel remains silent. Let's make that nice and big. Bam. This is the chapel at Panther Fang, and as you can see, I've quietly been upgrading the pews in the chapel. But everything's dark right now. The cathedral is not. The cathedral is still as normal. But for my character's personal castle, essentially, this is the one tie-in to like Good Friday and Easter. So the chapel in my primary residence in ESO has everything turned off. There's got to be a gaming stream later tonight once it's officially Sunday here on the East Coast, because I'm night shift, so I don't really have a chance to do an Easter stream of any kind. And we're going to go in and light all this up and take some more screenshots, because all of the running around during this event and grinding dailies, crafting dailies while doing the other stuff, while watching other streamers and doing other things like that, that is that's all added up. And I've also noticed too, for some reason, maybe it's some of the perks that my characters have in the constellations for the champion points, but my characters are actually finding more rare materials that are necessary to craft furniture, like say the pews or the fountains or things like that. Things like ochre and mundane runes and some of the other stuff, like, and bast for alchemy and stuff like that. So I'm getting all these rare materials faster than I did before. So I'm actually probably can take a look at and see where I'm at with the building stuff right now, and then just do more building while I'm watching someone else, and we can work on it that way. About the game stream last time, I went and worked on the video that I'm working on last time, and what happened was the computer is slow, so it was being slow, and it kept being slow, and it was consistently slow over and over and over again. The computer kept being slow, and eventually I'm like, I don't have time to do any streams now because this thing's going to be so slow and sluggish that I keep having to come back to it and basically babysit it. But that's not going to happen this time. I've got the next video almost completely done. I just got to finish up the rest of it. And there's going to be a part 4, by the way, with regards to the E-Machine project. Question is finding the time to do that, especially with the way things have been since going back to work. All right, let's take a look at some other things too for this Twitter recap. Go back to full cam for that though. I'll just skip over a couple of posts. While we talk about that with ESO. Let me see what else we got here we can take a look at. Kalia and the screenshots. I caught up on ESO Deadlands. So let's see here. Once again, I take way too long to finish off. Once again, I take way too long. I suppose Kalia is probably the most easy on the eyes when it comes to this kind of stuff here. Yep. I finished ESO Deadlands. The content has been out. The expansion has been out since November, or whatever you want to call it, the chapter or what have you. It's been out since November, and I finally finished it. Taken way longer than I should have because I do other stuff in ESO besides actually play the game for the grindier elements and things along those lines. But there you go. Cheer up, Kalia. Yeah, I know. Cheer up, Kalia, and stuff like that. But here we go. Mehrunes Dagon, dragon fight. Not dragon fight. The fight at the end of it. I want to speak to a little something regarding Elder Scrolls Online, though. There's been a lot of talk lately about Elder Scrolls Online versus Elden Ring, because so many people are out there streaming Elden Ring. It's a new Dark Souls-ish game and stuff like that, and it kind of, the UI and some other stuff kind of resembles ESO with like the red, blue, and green for health, magic, and stamina. And there's a whole side to it. People are questioning whether ESO is too easy, and then there's some people that are making excuses for ESO. Oh, well, they're just different kind of game. No, difficulty makes game worlds more believable. I don't think ESO should be as difficult as Elden Ring, but it definitely shouldn't be the kind of place where once you at least halfway know what you're doing with gear, all the overworld, all the delves, and many of the dungeons seem completely way too easy. It's like Second Life, essentially. I mean, there are certain things called theme park MMOs, but it shouldn't be like running around Six Flags, essentially. That's the thing. It shouldn't be this. The difficulty of ESO should not be like you're running around like a theme park or something. Like, okay, I have a character, I have them optimized and whatnot, but it shouldn't be absolutely effortless unless I'm wearing like no gear with no like vendor trash gear with no enchants. There's got to be some believability to the world. I think one of the best things that the ESO devs could do, take a look at World of Warcraft and WoW Classic. And one of the big reasons why Classic was so much bigger than BFA when it launched. I mean, sure, Blizzard's mediocrity eventually put a dent in that success. But one of the key reasons why WoW Classic did so well when it launched is because the old world had way more of a sense of danger to it. Whereas the newer, more rookie-friendly games, or game design of the newer expansions, basically had a setup where it just didn't seem believable. It's like you had to put in effort for like bandits in the woods to jump you and kill your character. So it's not believable. It's almost like a stage play of sorts. If you have to go out of your way to have the game be difficult in any way, shape, or form, what are you playing? Are you playing anything at all? Or is this just an electronic version of playing with dolls? Literally. I mean, think about, I knew some girls growing up before I thought they were attractive when I was that very young age. And I thought it was stupid that they were there with little dolls in their doll houses, pretending that husband got home from work, wife is cooking dinner, da-da-da, Barbie and Ken are going out on a date. But a lot of what people that played with, a lot of what kids playing with dolls was all in their imagination. It wasn't in, the dolls themselves. There was really no challenge. There's little, guys do the same thing with action figures too. Let's not play dumb here. But fundamentally, video games are video games. There needs to be a reason why you feel like you're not wasting your time playing them. And I think part of that is the psychology of how difficult they are. You want to know why Elden Ring is so popular right now? And ESO? Well, ESO has infrastructure issues. Account-wide achievements put a dent in the reliability of their servers. You want to know why Elden Ring is so popular? Because Elden Ring actually challenges you. It tells you that until you get into the swing of things with the game and you actually know what you're doing, the truth is you don't. You don't. So you have to get better as a person. You have to rise to the occasion and actually get better at playing the game. As opposed to a game that's too easy, like ESO, where the game stoops to your level and you never grow those muscles, so to speak. I realize I keep mentioning this over and over and over again. But we're back to why Total Biscuit quit World of Warcraft in Cataclysm. Because this is, and you think about it, when did the growth of WoW stop and eventually start going in the other direction? Late Lich King was when it stalled out. What happened in Late Lich King? Trial of the Crusader. A patch that introduced catch-up gear, which rendered prior patches obsolete. There was no longer progression within the game. Not good for Wrath of the Lich King, which had this big overarching story that was picking up where Warcraft 3 left off. You are going to Northrend to settle the score with the Lich King once and for all. You were going to Northrend to settle the score with the Lich King. There was a story. You had to play through that story and eventually storm the gates of Icecrown Citadel. Starting halfway through the expansion, Blizzard made it to where you could just jump right in and not get the prior story. You don't care what happened in Nax Ramus. You don't care what happened in Ulduar. You just get your catch-up gear. You teach your mom how to play video games. She plays a 200 DPS rogue or whatever until the raid kicks her out. And then you don't get that. The game doesn't actually make you want to get better at it. The game just hands you stuff and enables your toxic unwillingness to get better. Whenever a game breaks that mold nowadays to where it's not just a mobile game on a bigger screen. Oh, thanks for playing today. Here's 500 gold coins. Maybe you'll spend money on buying more gold coins to buy stuff from our cash shop. You know? So that's one of the reasons why I think Elden Ring is as popular as it is, because Elden Ring is a Souls game. It's hard and whatnot, but the biggest thing that the game does is it makes you want to get better. That's what hard games do. Even if you can't win them or get past the first stage, like myself with a lot of Ghosts and Goblins games, the fact that the challenge is there is something that you can respect and realize, if I play this enough and I get good at it and I actually, stay on task and I actually keep on keeping on, don't get rusty at it and stuff, I can probably get a lot further in this, while other people are wondering how I did it just because I put in the time to actually get better. And so fundamentally, this is a game design decision ZeniMax needs to take a very serious look at, because ESO, it is basically Second Life at this point. And when High Isle comes out, it's going to be even more so. It's going to be a giant online Renaissance fair. They're not even having a big villain this time around, like, say, Mehrunes Dagon or Nocturnal or one of the Daedric princes. There is no big monster to take down. Now it's going to be about political intrigue of the Bretons, which the Bretons in ESO have a lot of politics. Very, very feudal politics among the Bretons in Elder Scrolls. There's plenty of material to work with that kind of stuff. But fundamentally, though, ESO really does feel like virtual dolls of sorts. You have your pretty characters with their outfits from the Crown Store, and there's an ESO, an Elder Scrolls coat of paint. But when you go to this boss fight, and pretty much the most you can do, you have to go out of your way for a big, powerful prince like Mehrunes Dagon to kill you in that final fight. The most you can do is slow yourself down because you're not paying attention to the mechanics that progress the fight. It doesn't even feel like a fight. So I think this is ESO Deadlands, the most recent content in the game before High Isle comes out. Why should stuff you do to advance the story of Elder Scrolls, in this case, be so face roll? And, if you want something harder, go do a veteran trial. Why should it take that kind of stuff in order for the game to actually challenge you? That's what I want to know. And so this is really the lesson that Elden Ring can teach ESO. This game does not have to be as difficult as Elden Ring. It doesn't have to be a meme that, you screwed up the tiniest little thing, you died. But the difficulty that exists in a game world adds a sense of danger that makes the world more believable. And in Elder Scrolls Online and other MMOs, that's kind of important. It's like WoW devs said in the more successful years of World of Warcraft. The world itself is a character in the story. So you have to make it believable. What else do we have in Twitter? We're up to nearly an hour recap? We're playing catch up anyways. So, maybe this is a good one. Yeah, here we go. Ran out of magic in the fight. Since Mehrunes Dagon is invincible during certain parts of the fight, you can still regain magic with heavy attacks, though. So, tap him on the forehead with the Resto staff. And stuff along those lines. This is all on Twitter, by the way. So Twitter's kind of turned into my behind the scenes type thing where I opine on certain things, throw in opinions on some other things, and have a lot of fun with Reshade with still more things like this right here. This is cool, though. Reshade, I've dialed in, I've made my own preset, and I'm going to actually export it to other games that are Reshade compatible, and I'm going to see how much I can punch up the graphics. Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online, these screenshots look pretty good by default. And I know one of the challenges of streaming is showing you folks what I'm seeing because of technological and bitrate limitations. And of course, more recently, CPU limitations. But I got to take a look at this. I really have to take a look at this kind of stuff and see what I can do in terms of, better transmitting the experience that I'm having on screen here so you folks can see it and say that it looks good. This is a recent screenshot. If you go here in ESO, it's not by default not cold turkey, but if you go here in ESO by default, it's not going to look as good. This is post reshade, and it looks photographic at this point. This is reshade, and I have my own reshade preset now that I'm exporting to other games like Guild Wars 2. The problem is that a shader, a third-party shader, might be viewed as foreign code, so to speak. I don't want to get slapped with a "you cheated" ban because I'm running a shader. So it is basically injected code, so that can be an issue here. All right. Then there's this. Bastion Hallex, one of the companions in ESO Blackwood. He uses a little bit of earth magic as a dragon knight, some fire magic here and there, but I decided to make him look like a fighter. And so fighter and paladin, so to speak, one uses more martial attacks and one throws some holy damage around in between all of this. But this is also reshade. Blackwood doesn't look like this by default in the game. You have to really punch it up with a whole bunch of filters. And there are some very cinematic and digital photography filters that do this. Let's make sure the sound's right. You have to really punch it up with it's better than sounding like a robot earlier. I had a chorus effect that I couldn't get rid of when I tried streaming this earlier. That's what those of you that got the notification for the dead stream that's been pulled, that's why it was pulled. All right, let's see. I'll take a look at some other things here. All right. Why don't we address something? Let's address a little something regarding Amaranth. Earlier in the week, and I'm not taking this tweet down just because I was wrong, I only half read Amaranth's tweet about getting out of the e-girl business. And I was like, is she going to be a smartass and get perma-banned off of Twitch on purpose? So that way she can move on with her life? Because if you're a banned streamer on Twitch, nobody's allowed to talk about you or in any way advertise you or show you. You can't be on anybody's streams. I thought she might actually do something that shrewd. Turns out she's only leaving OnlyFans, and she's going to change the content she does on other platforms as well as she pushes towards her goal of having things like a dog, animal shelter or something later on. It's kind of bizarre that she's showing some kind of empathy towards animals, considering she reminds me of some of the aspiring corporate hotshots I went to college with, who basically looked like they were going to spend the rest of their life they're going to spend the rest of their life bumping everybody else underneath them. All right, we talked about ESO. We talked about Devin Nash making the move to YouTube streaming. Is there anything we talked about? Streamlabs, Stream Hatchet quarterlies being a problem. Oh yeah, Amazon. Amazon wants to put a surcharge because of stuff going on, inflation surcharge and raising Prime prices. And I'm over here like, there's a fuel surcharge when they just bragged about their electric van fleet. All right, I think we're getting a little too far back on the Twitter here. There's one last thing I want to talk about before we take a jazz intermission and then come back for the main discussion. And it's not just an excuse to show the ESO character Kalia again. That's a cool Friends Rachel haircut or something. Which actually looks pretty cool. I mean, my Lauren Lockhart character could probably look like this too. No, not bad for somebody who is a pyromaniac for first chunk of the game and stuff along those lines. She's always sad though, because she had terrible upbringing in the game. Probably one of the more relatable characters in there who actually shows a little emotion and doesn't seem like generic elf, generic imperial, generic Breton, stuff along those lines. See here. Where is the thing about Intel? Because that's going to be the last thing we talk about before we move on with all this other stuff. Where was that? I might have to go back down to normal size. Oh, there it is. Yeah, underneath my criticism of Thailand. For any other streamers out there who want to go to Thailand because everybody else is doing it, it's the hot season in Thailand. So there's gonna be a hot season for a couple of months, then a rainy season for a few months, and then it'll be cool in Thailand is relative. That's like a cool day in Florida when it goes down to like 70 at night. It's just, I don't understand why Thailand has to be such a meta unless you're trying to live in Southeast Asia because of the lower cost of living. All right, why don't we deal with this Intel thing? Let's deal with this Intel thing before we take a break and then come back to talk about how Project EVTO was such a mistake and I'm never going to do something like what I just did for the past month ever again. Browser mode. Intel Alder Lake chips are a little more rectangular than their predecessors. There's a bit of an issue with the heat from the heat spreaders and from the pressure of the heatsink fan and whatnot. Of course, that doesn't look like a very good application of heatsink compound. There's a bit of an issue where the chips are warping. Not to the point where they're out of tolerance. Intel doesn't seem to think that there's a problem. However, now that I've seen this, I'm basically concluding that this is Intel's FX9590 moment. For those of you who remember, about 10 years ago, before Ryzen launched, when AMD couldn't be competitive, they didn't have anything competitive on the market. They were basically a cheap chip company. You bought an FX8350 because it gave you most of the performance of its Intel stuff while costing a lot less, even though you'd make up the difference in the sticker price via being less power efficient. Excuse me. The Intel Sandy Bridge set a gold standard for good CPU design. AMD couldn't compete. And their last-ditch attempt, what created this monster, not a good one either, of a processor, the FX9500, the FX9 Grand Series, the 200-watt monster of a top-end processor. They didn't have as good of chip design going on in engineering. So they threw a Hail Mary pass with good old-fashioned brute force and wound up with probably the only CPU for computers anyways, not servers or other heavy equipment, probably the only consumer CPU that's ever hit 200 watt TDP. Maybe there are some others, I don't know, but the 9590 are always remembered as the 200 watt beast, the incandescent floodlight of processors in terms of power usage. And it represented a time in AMD's history when their rival had better technology in general, which created a more well-rounded unit, well-rounded processor. Of course, there was problems with the thermal material in the Haswells and stuff, to the point where people were delitting and fixing that on their own. There was that, but AMD was in a position back then where, let's be blunt, the other company had the better stuff. And they were stuck trying to, by any means necessary, try to keep up with mind share and the public perception of their products. The result was the disaster of a 200-watt processor. Fast forward to now, Intel is in this position. AMD was able to move everything over to 7 nanometer. Intel had to come up with some marketing to make up for the fact that they're still manufacturing on 10. Then they decided to pursue more of a smartphone processor design by mixing performance cores and efficiency cores. Eventually, they wound up with this. A rectangular processor, a little bit bigger than, typical one. But now we have this problem with stuff warping and bending in the sockets. Oh, it's just affecting your temperatures at the most, maybe 5 degrees Celsius, they say, or 10 degrees or so. Okay. Anybody who knows anything about electronics is going to be skeptical of this. Why? Bending things eventually breaks it. Bend something enough times and it breaks. So now it's a difference in the thermal performance of the processor. What's it going to be years down the road? Are we going to be seeing chip failures in a couple of years because this bent a little too much? Are we going to see thermal failures because the IHS warps itself to where it loses contact or whatever it is? What are we going to see in a couple more years now that we know these processors are bending and warping right now? Let me just give you some context on all of this. I got made fun, as you all know, those of you who watch my videos, I got made fun of when I built Monolith in 2016 because I went with an i7 instead of an i5. First of all, there was only a it was K versus non-K, etc. I didn't even use an overclockable motherboard. 6700K instead of regular 6700. Only a $20 difference for a higher base and boost clock. So I basically paid Intel to overclock my chip for me, even though the motherboard didn't support overclocking. It's worked out pretty well. There are only a few things that remind me of the age of this computer these days. Elder Scrolls Online, when I'm streaming it, I'm fine when I'm playing it offline, as I found out when I caught up on my Deadlands questing yesterday. It's fine to play nearly all maxed out with reshade, making it look even better and adding to the CPU overhead. Perfectly fine. 60 frames per second in almost all areas at 1080, unless, of course, we run up against the limits of the engine in certain crowded parts of the game, a smaller version of what happens with Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 2's performance problems. So, perfectly fine. When I stream it, however, you have the extra CPU overhead of OBS, which cuts down on the minimum amount, which cuts down on the CPU overhead that's available for other stuff that may come up. And so you might start getting stuttering on when there's a lot of stuff going on the screen, like lots of light effects and stuff like that. The graphics card's only at 60 to 80% use anyways with that sort of stuff. And I don't think there's any issues with OBS stomping on that in any way, shape, or form. Let's double check this. So there's that. Streaming. Oh, look, the loser showed up. There you go. See? Look, buddy, your hatred of every single one of my streams is not going to get me to stop streaming. Full cam. Hey, buddy, your hatred of every single one of my streams is not going to get me to stop streaming. The streams are not going away. Streaming is part of being a YouTuber nowadays. There are certain things that are better off on stream than in videos. I'm not going to play stupid and ignore that just because you can't pull your head out of some years ago before all this became a thing. And you know what? There are problems on YouTube with people who will not acknowledge that it's the 2020s. They will not acknowledge that streaming is a thing. It has changed everything. Short form is a thing. It has changed everything. They want to pretend there's nothing but videos. And I am not one of those people. I'm not going to apologize either. You're the one who is upset about me streaming to the point where you subscribe to me, you keep the bell on all notifications so you can hate every single thing that I do that's a stream. You have the problem. You are the weird parasocial whack job who has this problem. Look at your life. Look at what it consists of. Look, this is what you want to be known for? This is what you want to be known for, that a stream can go to unlisted. I'll just let it sit there because I know you're eventually going to dislike it because that's the only thing that you have in your life. Turn off the computer, walk outside, go do something for somebody, get involved in the community, do something. Or please, by all means, have somebody buy you a mirror so you can take a good long look at where you are. Because let me tell you something. When you are consumed by your hatred of somebody else to the point where you do that, this is time that you're not spending doing something that would be a lot more constructive for others. And you're not going to change what I'm doing. I'll tell you what. I've seen mobbing. I've seen sock puppets. And right now, I'm keeping an eye on this situation with Ginny TTY, where there's a guy out there, there's somebody out there who knows what they are these days. Could be a robot for all I know. There is somebody out there who is so obsessed with hating on her and everything she does that they keep making new Twitter accounts every single day because they keep getting blocked to hate on every single thing they post. 100% ban evasion. They are creating a new account so all these throwaway accounts getting blocked and the replies hidden over and over and over again. And the truth is, when you get like this and this is the way you behave, people don't sympathize with you because they realize the internet isn't everything. Social media is not real life. Social media is blown out of proportion. I'm an older millennial. I grew up offline. And I think that some of the Zoomers and some of the other people who are actually having mental health problems because of newer platforms like TikTok and Instagram need to be introduced to the fact that all they have to do is put their phone away. And think about it for a second. You can be hated by a huge group of, maybe they're people, maybe they're robots, on the internet. You can be getting mobbed on Twitter or something like that. You can be hated that much. And all you have to do, turn off the computer, put your phone away, go walk outside. Go to Walmart, go to the grocery store, go somewhere where there's people besides internet people. And you'll find out very quickly that the crap you're getting upset about is pointless. You know, unless there is a local concerted effort to harass you among people that live in your town, in which case go to the police, get them involved. What randos say or do to you online is fundamentally not important. And this, I got news for you. There are like employers, there are organizations, there are other people out there that haven't caught up on this yet. But I know how to catch them up. I'll gladly bring them up to speed. The fun that you're able to have right now, if you want to call it that, with doing this crap, is temporary. Just like with other forms of internet harassment, the general public eventually wisens up and smartens up to this. It's just a matter of getting people caught up on things, which is not hard to do. So take a good long look at what you're doing and find something better to do with your life. Because you know what? Even this is tame compared to what I dealt with when I first came to YouTube in the 2000s. So even the crap last year with the dislikes thing, I had worse when I first came onto YouTube. Bottom line is, I've dealt with crap for longer than some of the people that hate me have even been alive at this point. I got someone's bratty kid trying to mess with me on YouTube, 13, 14 years old, mad that I won't play Fortnite or whatever, because I don't play whiny little kiddie games like Fortnite or League of Legends. No, I've been dealing with this crap longer than they've been alive. It's part of what happens as you get more experience. Stupid stuff like this doesn't bother you as much because you know just how stupid it is. And you know what? Are you really going to scour the internet looking for people that are just as parasocial as you? How about you meet some real friends? Some people that can actually teach you something. That can make you a better person. That can actually make you more level-headed and well-rounded as an individual. This is the only time we're going to talk about this, by the way. Enjoy wasting your time clicking on stuff and just giving more, just justifying all the more why YouTube made that UI change. Just keep on thinking you're doing anything when the truth of the matter is you're not. You're just hiding. You're hiding in your little corner. And if you out yourself, people are going to be like, oh, that's the person that's been doing that. And you're going to laugh. And they're just going to laugh. Give me a break. You really think I don't know what kind of scummy nonsense happens on the internet? This isn't 1995, pal. It's 2022. You would have had to have gotten me in the dial-up days if you wanted that kind of crap. Now, how about we fire up this browser mode thing again, and let's finish this little discussion. Intel Alder Lake processors have a warping problem. They're rectangular. The heat and the pressure and everything, and of course the stuff along those lines is causing them to warp. So now, right now, there's nothing exciting going on. What's going to happen in a couple of years? Here's the context. Monolith, soon to be 2010's Monolith whenever I build a successor system. Monolith as a system was built in 2016. There are only a few things nowadays that remind me of just how old this system is. There is the limitations I've been hitting when it comes to streaming. And there is also Windows 11 support. The rather artificial, we're going to make a whole bunch of computers into Linux computers in a couple of years problem with Windows 11. That kind of stuff. That's it. Otherwise, number of blue screens and crashes, I can count on my fingers. It's an event if one ever happens. And most of the time when this thing crashes, it's because I'm kind of fleeking out the graphics system on it by running a mishmash of monitors and using my AV receiver as a monitor to run sound over HDMI. So I haven't done little overclocking experiments like what destabilized Tuxedo with its 1090T and its motherboard from Gigabyte back then. There's really not any. It's just been chugging along, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a corporate machine, essentially, that ran like a corporate workstation. The very computers that I've been seeing that have been making IT people go nuts because of life cycle policies. The company's not going to keep any computers that are more than 5 years old, and yet computers nowadays reach the 10-year mark, and the most they do is contribute too much to overhead because they use too much power. Like if they're still running Sandy Bridge or Ivy Bridge in the 2020s. At that point, they're a cost issue because you're talking about a 50 to 60 watt computer when the little net tops that could do the same thing nowadays, Core i5, couple of watts tops, and they run an SSD, so they're faster and peppier. So time eventually did its thing to those older systems. That's what I was looking. If Microsoft had not decided to wave the magic wand of everything that's not 8th gen is too old. If Microsoft had decided not to wave this magic wand and magically make these computers obsolete like this, it wouldn't have been an issue. Monolith has been chugging and chugging and chugging, and we've had supply chain disruptions due to the pandemic. COVID has raised prices most consistently over the last couple of years as we have lockdowns and other disruptions in the supply chains. Then shipping issues, cost of goods sold, all of those business things, particularly cost of goods sold. But all of these other things, all of these other costs and other stuff that have been going up because of all of this, been a regular thing because of the pandemic. So I really don't see any intelligent reason to get a new computer anytime before Windows 10 goes EOL, if it even goes EOL on time. We remember what happened with Windows XP. People didn't want to give it up. They were like, it's just fine as is, don't need to replace it, and they ran into the ground well past the original EOL date. Microsoft had to extend that. And now we see the development on Windows 11, where Windows 11 pales Windows 10 in terms of features. I'm probably going to install it on Nerdovo just so I can start gaining experience with Windows 11, even if it is worse than 10. But I'll keep 10 running on the main systems until I'm ready to upgrade. Next system will probably be Windows 11 native. Monolith, as we know it, is going to become 2010's Monolith, and it's basically going to be essentially the Windows 10 retro system when all this is over. Graphics card prices are dropping. It's nice to see a 3060 Ti for like $389 now. That's about what I wanted to pay for a 1070 back when the 10 series came out. And we had the rounds of price gouging and stuff like that. And because I've been a turtle when it comes to technology, because of the pandemic and all the shortages, one of the things I'm very seriously thinking of is buying something older that is newer than what I have. That runs Windows 11 and still represents an upgrade over what it is that I have. And just go in that direction with it. But my question with, give me my pointer back. My question with these Intel 12th gen warping issues is, now they just make your system run a little hotter. What happens if something warps to the point where it breaks? Are we going to be hearing some bad things about Alder Lake in a couple of years? Oh, it's fine now. And I'll tell you exactly how a company like Intel would get away with this. They just treat it as a form of planned obsolescence, essentially. Unless we start getting CPU failures in the next year or two, if you get like 5-6 years out of a processor before it warps itself to death, so basically don't have a repeat of the warping motherboards in the Xbox 360s, one of the contributors to the Red Ring of Death. If you have that kind of, if you get some years out of a 12th gen Intel, it served its purpose. Like, oh, well, you know, how many years did you want to have this Alder Lake when there's all these other Lake processors out there? So Alder Lake is going to be a pass for me because of this warping issue. And because of this warping issue was allowed to make it to retail when there was probably some engineers somewhere around here that said, oh yeah, this might be a problem. We'll probably hear about that in some like exposed video or some documentary in a couple of years or whatever it is. Intel Alder Lake is going to be a pass for me. And I want to see the design of its successors and how cool they run. This is kind of like, as far as I'm concerned, this was their first attempt at this. So as far as I'm concerned, it's original Core I all over again. It's the rough draft, essentially. I want to see what the Sandy Bridge of this Intel design is going to be. And this clearly isn't it. Whenever this generation of Intel processors has its Sandy Bridge moment, I'll look into getting a current processor. As it stands, I don't know. I'm thinking 10th or 11th gen or something like that. Something that supports, if I go Intel, it should be 10th or 11th gen or something like that. Something from before this redesign that has a little bit of a boost over the 6700K, and it doesn't have it's not like a rectangular processor that's going to warp on me. Oh, well, what about the motherboard socket? You're going to buy something for like a one-use socket. It's not going to be like AMD Ryzen. AMD Ryzen's at the end of its socket too. So here's the problem. The next round of Ryzen's socket AM5, new product, price skimming. Price skimming's in play. So launches at a high price to recoup its R&D costs. It'll take another generation for the Ryzen. So think about it this way. Suppose the next Ryzen has some engineering issues like these Intels did. So next socket AM5, that comes out, everything changes over to it. We find the bugs in the design on the first generation of processors. So I got to wait until the Ryzens after the Ryzens that are coming out before I can see something that's a little more mature as a product. Not so sure about that. I have to see something besides, the Ryzens, that are coming out. What am I saying here? Basically, it's going to be a while before an AMD Ryzen comes out that's mature enough for me to want to get into socket AM5. So I'm in the same position with AMD as I am with Intel. I can get like a 5700X or something like that, 65 watt TDP, mature technology, almost as much punch as a 5800X on a dead socket that's about to go away. So regardless, 2020's monolith, got to give it some CPU overhead. I think I'm buying new old stock, sadly, because I ran 2010's monolith into the ground. 6700K Skylake, back from the mid-2010s when people were like, you're a moron. You only need 4 cores to game. Why aren't you buying a Core i5? Who's laughing now? After years of Ryzen brought multi-core into the mainstream like this, and it's now a very serious consideration when you're making something, when you're building a system. Woo! A lot can change in 5 years. Wow. So yeah, Intel Alder Lake, gonna pass on it. I want to see how the technology matures for the next generation. And I want to see the next generation of processors. Is that a truck or a motorcycle that just fired up? Who cares? 622. It's early enough for that to still be a thing. Is that a truck? Whatever. So I want to see what happens with the next generation of Intel chips. So I'm waiting now. I'm waiting if I want to get new stuff. Once again, it's the monolith dilemma all over again, where the tech industry makes me want to turtle in place and just keep what I have instead of getting the newest stuff and potentially running into issues like this. And furthermore, what's going to happen to these chips when they start getting as old as my 6700K? Going to be very interesting to follow this. Let's get up and stretch out a bit. shoot, man, this is going to be another one of those big streams where catching up on what's been going on actually is more of a let's see here. You know what? Let's do one more. We've basically ruined the length of the main discussion, unless this is like a 3-hour stream or something. Update 34 base game for ESO. This is what comes out when the expansion launches. Let's see, AMD FSR implementation on PC. Updates the quick slot wheel. I'm gonna have to see what these are, because quick slot is a little bit clunky right now. I hope they can put more stuff in there. I'd like to have a quick slot with actually more things, as I have multiple assistants and stuff. I would love to have a quick slot wheel where it's like a rotating dial that I can have potions, assistants, the deconstruction assistant, stuff for PvP, etc. I mean, I want to see something bigger. I don't know what that does in terms of resources, but I want to see it get bigger, because right now you have a vendor assistant, a banking assistant, a deconstruction assistant, potions, food buff. That's 5 out of 8 slots just from that. And then the other stuff you got to figure out. Oh yeah, the guy to change your build. So 6 out of 8. So the services you buy from the Crown Store are going to take up most of your quick slot wheel and eliminate the ability to have any choice and all that. Choose your own title screen music. I mean, I'd love to have the Morrowind theme when I start the game up. The High Isle theme is pretty cool too, but I'd like to have it kind of as a jukebox of sorts, where I'm changing the music every so often. I think World of Warcraft's working on custom launch screens too, where you can pick different launch screens or something, but haven't heard about that in years. New houses, furnishings, and house guests. Change how house guests are classed, Cinemax, so I can actually have more of them in my houses. Yeah. Even the big, like, $100 castles and stuff, you're limited to like 10 house guests, which, by the way, includes your pets as well. So you have to choose between having house guests and having, like, your pets in the house. And accessibility improvements. ESO, High Isle, looking forward to it. Not going to buy it before it comes out, probably not too far before it comes out. I might pre-order it later, but it's just, I don't really need a little ghost deer following me around. Let's see. The other stuff, I think we're fine on that. Just check out the Twitter for behind the scenes type stuff and things like that. Now, how about we just, before we get into the main discussion after taking a break, let's talk about what exactly is going on here. Without getting too into the main discussion, I went back to work after the month, so to speak, and I went from relaxing around the house, doing some stuff with computers for physical activity, to a lot of extra running around. I've been waking up feeling like I've been smacked by a bus or something. Something like that. So mostly just been relaxing after work and stuff along those lines. It's been pretty terrible. And then we're going to rant about that when we get back. So the next tech video, just got to finish it up. It's really close to being done. It's been very close to being done for the better part of a week. We're going to get that done. There's gonna be a part 4 to the E-Machine project, but a lot of the progression with what I'm doing here at the house is based on videos. So even though I'm running around again with these 9-to-5ers, there's still gonna be a bit more of a focus on videos than there is on streaming. I'm not getting rid of the streams though. No, I'm not gonna stop streaming. The streams are gonna occupy the niche that they occupy right now, talking about stuff, doing updates, reacting to stuff on the internet, and playing video games. Probably the main forum of video game stuff that I'll be doing on this channel is going to be streams. Later tonight, when it hits midnight on the East Coast, I want to actually do an Easter stream, essentially, where I fire up ESO. I have those pictures of the darkened chapel from having upgraded it, but all the lights are off, all the candles are off over at Panther Fang Chapel. We're going to catch up on what we can make in terms of furnishings and how all this grinding while watching other streamers has gotten me some more stuff. Thing is, though, I think the cinematic opener for the ESO streams is obsolete now because I'm using Reshade. Reshade makes Elder Scrolls Online look so much better that I think that the cinematic opener that I made earlier can't really be used anymore because the stream's going to look better. So I've got the game agnostic template for play some stuff so I can play a wider variety of games and stuff along those lines. So, hey, look, it's Dan. Yeah, you've been getting into Minecraft. That's cool. So, but the thing is, I'm using Reshade. Some applications support it and some don't. Some think that something that injects like a shader or something like that is a form of cheating, so it won't let you run that. It'll pop an error message. I don't want to get a VAC ban on any of my Steam games, though, because people think that I'm cheating because I'm running a reshader on an old game. And stuff along those lines. So that's really it. I mean, much of the progression, it may look like I'm backing away from streaming, but really what I'm doing is I'm pulling a Devin Nash. I realize that streaming has its place. Streaming has its place within being a content creator these days. So the stuff I've been putting on Instagram, stuff I'm putting on Twitter, that's important. I want to take another look at TikTok too. The problem I have with TikTok is that TikTok's going through that stage that YouTube went through many years ago, where there are a lot of false positive bans from robots and algorithms. People are getting perma-banned off of TikTok for really stupid reasons, and I don't want to be one of them. It's just like, so I don't want a robot banning me and then having to say to TikTok support, is there any particular reason why this, whatever it is, got me banned, and then wait forever because I'm not a big influencer over there. So TikTok, interesting, especially TikTok Live. TikTok is actually experimenting with integrating live streaming into TikTok, and for a limited number of creators. But the way they're going about streaming is fundamentally different than the way that Twitch or YouTube has gone about streaming. It's essentially a showdown between whose version of streaming works better. Twitch does streaming one way with a whole business philosophy behind it, which is why there's Twitch royalty, or kingmakers if you want to call it that. Twitch does streaming one way, YouTube does streaming another way. I haven't really looked at how Facebook does streaming, but now that TikTok is getting into live streaming, Instagram as well through other stuff like that. Now that TikTok's getting into live streaming, the business model they're using is fundamentally different and more focused on discovery. TikTok might actually be the platform that finally breaks live streaming's weakness when it comes to, an algorithm introducing new people to your stuff. So I don't know if I need a smartphone for that, or if I can use OBS. But I'm going to be taking another look at TikTok, and then we'll work on, of course, the memberships now that the computer stuff has become a thing again. Excuse me. Now that we're playing catch up on some things. We'll look at channel memberships, look at deprecating the Patreon because it's just too many clicks for something that's not interesting. At the very same time, also, the memberships will also give custom emojis for use in the chat and some other stuff as well. But I'm not going to be like one of those Kickstarter people that has like a bazillion perks and stuff like that. I don't want to make supporting what I do into something that's fundamentally complicated. Because as we've been seeing with the numbers and everything, it's still better to have a job, especially in my neck of the woods, where it's really easy to make $20 an hour if you're willing to actually break a sweat. It's just got to watch the cost of living doesn't devour that from you. But yeah, the labor situation around here is among the warehouse folks is very interesting. The warehouse wildcard has come roaring back. I think it's more worth it for me to be good at driving forklifts and picking orders than doing a lot with YouTube or Twitch. Just the numbers are not there to make content creation more interesting than something a little more where people actually will know what I do, and big companies can know how I can add value to them. It's that simple. But that's another discussion for another day. Maybe some of it can be after the break, but that's really what's next for the channel is progression through videos. At the very same time, I want to pare down a lot of what I have, get rid of a lot of stuff. I mean, I've had some use for that cable pile that guys usually have where I'll need this again someday. But the truth is, like, even obsolete cables can be found in some corner of Amazon somewhere these days. Couple of bucks if you ever need them again. I want to get to the point, though, where if the landlord ticks me off, it's easy to move. That'll mean changing my furniture. I might even get rid of my desk. I've had this desk since, this Interroyal I use, not had it since the 80s, but it's a 1980s desk. Hasn't warped or anything. It's held up incredibly well. I just got to find a way to make it not so heavy. But I want to pare down a lot of what I have so that moving is easier. Because if I get sick of this, then if I get sick of this place, I want to be able to get out of here. I don't want the landlord to think that I'm stuck here because, oh, look, he's a YouTuber. He's got a lot of electronics. It's going to be a pain in the ass to move. Stuff along those lines. So no. I fundamentally, before I ever got into YouTubing, I fundamentally am formally trained to be a corporate nomad who doesn't even have any computers, who lives off of his laptop in a carrying bag and goes around to hotels and stuff on business trips. The only reason I have anything that isn't like that is because of the way I was raised, and even my folks are mass abandoning that. Yeah, my dad met my stepmother, who had a house built in 1975 that she was paying a mortgage on while working a very well-paying job at a defense contractor here in Connecticut. She was one of those baby boomers who had one job pretty much until she retired from all the time that we've known her. Very, very stable. Union, too, by the way. So they benefited from a lot of what made the baby boomers so privileged, to the point where they turn around and wag their fingers at us about how we're supposedly not doing well enough. Even Generation X, a little bit of condescension in that direction too from them. So, but they've had I got to grow up in the one house. I've got to, grow up in the one house and stuff. And my stepmother had one job and stuff along those lines. The thing is, though, they're like, hey, how much longer are we actually going to live? We're in our 60s and 70s here. So how much longer do we really think we're going to live? And then someone's going to have to sift through all this crap. Why don't we just get it taken care of so that we're not burdening them whenever we pass away? And we'll just keep only what we need that we're actually be happy. So the thing is, if you grew up jealous of the stability of the baby boomers with their one jobs for decades and crap like that, even those folks, as they get older, are abandoning that, and they're coming towards where us millennials are with our infamous lack of stability, because companies will just dump you for no reason, then nobody will want to hire you or whatever for some artificial fairy tale reason. The crap we dealt with during the Great Recession, and every company out there that tried to basically change their hiring policy and crap along those lines because of all of that. Hey, there's Alfred stopping by. I have too much stuff as well. Been going through offsite storage, starting to lighten the... Yeah, see, storage units is not a thing with me. I cannot imagine myself needing a storage unit. If I need a storage unit, I have too much crap. Simple as that. I mean, I came here from a larger place. This house is about 600 square feet. It's basically a double wide trailer. It's just a really tiny house, small for New England, and stuff along those lines. But let's see here. My niece and two nephews will be doing a lot of work at eBay unless I lighten up, lol. You're actually younger than my folks, Alfred. My folks are late 60s to mid 70s. So, they're like, and they've been sheltering in place because of the pandemic. My dad does yard work every day for exercise and stuff like that. I got to stop by. The lava lamp I had before that one, I actually he used to have one in the 70s. Like, hey, if you got one, that's cool. I used to have one of those. So let's see here. The problem is that OBS is slower than what's over on there. Been tossing and organizing, so yeah. But let's see here. Project EVTO was a mistake. That's supposed to be the main discussion. And here we are, live time, 1 hour and 35 minutes. Longer than most of the streams. Let's get up and stretch for a bit, and let's come back and let's have a good old-fashioned grumpy old guy rant session, because there's a reason why I'm saying that Project EVTO is a mistake, and it doesn't have it doesn't have too much to do with the way things have gone on YouTube. It's more a matter of the offline world stepping on the toes of this stuff that I'm trying to do here in a very big way that is quite insulting, quite frankly. If you folks want to see me rant about something, you're going to get your wish. We'll need more drinks to do that, though. We'll be right back. We're not going to wait for the end of that song. Welcome to W blah, blah, blah. Hi, I'm streaming on YouTube, but I got this big headset here and I don't want to wear it. No, 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 no. Jay, I'm going to do an exit. Great content as always. Wishing you and family a happy Easter if you celebrate. Well, darn, Alfred. That, by the way, was my test to see if he really stuck around or not. He should be making fun of me right now if he ddid. Otherwise, he's going to have to catch the replay on that stuff. Yeah, I don't know why. He sits there like this, wasting a perfectly good headset. I don't want to mess up my hair. Where are you going? You stream at the end of the night before going to sleep. Why are you so worried about getting headphone hair or something if you're streaming at like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night before heading off to sleep? Whatever. So let's see here. Yes, I do celebrate Easter. It's just I'm stuck on night shift. So I'm just stuck on night shift. So what I'm going to do is later tonight, I'm actually going to do like an Easter-ish gaming stream with ESO where we light up the new chapel and everything and then see where we're at in terms of the other player housing and other stuff, do some more questing. One of the things I would like to do with Play Some Stuff, though, is have it showcase the games a lot more. And here's the thing. The way you handle game streams even has to be informed by the way you decide to do things as a content creator. So if I go by MultimediaJay, an element of that is presentations and stuff like that. Now, I'm sure it is meta on Twitch, so to speak, if you want to call it that, to go around playing like music, yeah, and turning your streams of even a chill game like ESO into a party. And if you're like Delty is gaming, you'll throw in like a sports horn or something like that and try and hype things up, even though Elder Scrolls games are fundamentally rather relaxing. But I really think that what I do for gaming needs to basically showcase the games for what they are. If I play Super Mario Brothers 3, it doesn't really make any sense for me to cut the sound and then put in like EDM or something like that, like they do on Twitch, just because it's popular. If I'm supposed to be showcasing video games, let me showcase them for what they are and only swap in the music if I'm sick of it and stuff like that. If I know my Elder Scrolls team, like I think I do, there's going to be probably some part of the sound design going into High Isle with the medieval Renaissance fair Breton stuff that's going on in that game. So when that comes, I might as well just get used to it at this point. But I mean, how many times can I play like the same old Stream Beats songs over and over again just to essentially create something besides the content carrying its own weight? It's just like with me, I come in here sound like a radio guy, right? Why would I put EDM in the background unless I had some kind of doubts as to what, and I realize there's some people out there that chat stream with music in the background, but they're not trying to make it sound like a radio show, so there'll be a reason for people to listen to it after the fact. They're not doing this kind of stuff. They're just hanging out and chilling, hence some of it being called chill streams. So it's just different strokes for different folks, so to speak. I don't mind if I sound like an old guy, because I am. I don't care if I sound like a radio guy, because I'm a little old-fashioned like that. But it's just... style is subjective, including the choices that people make with regards to YouTubing and streaming and stuff like that. All right, live time 1:43, hour and 43 minutes longer than I normally stream, which is probably why I'm getting hoarse. Project EVTO was a mistake. As you can tell from me disappearing for a week, this has not been a good week. I knew it wouldn't be. Here I am having relaxed and taken the time during a month-long furlough to catch up on mostly YouTube video stuff that have been sitting around, including the E-Machine sitting in the box for way too long, because last year with the back injury, I had a whole bunch of extra medical appointments completely assassinating my free time. Yeah, go ahead, YouTube. Keep me demonetized just because I use the term assassinated in some kind of figure of speech, you freaking robots. Skynet, go yourself. Anyways, no, that's not ASMR. Ah, you weirdos. So anyways, last year I had some extra medical appointments because the back injury. This year was actually the first chance I got to take an EVTO, extended voluntary time off, since the back injury happened, because we didn't have it last year. Things were very distorted because of the pandemic, so there were times that were normally a lot going on where there wasn't, and vice versa. So we weren't in a position where EVTO was really even a thing over with my part of the warehouse folks last year. So, as usual, take a break from all the running around for an extended period of time. Things heal up. Stuff that was hurting for a while now stops hurting and stuff like that. And it's a good way to just hit the reset button on stuff like that. At the expense of, you go back to a job like that, you got to get basically pounded back into shape by running around the building again. I didn't totally stop either. So one of the reasons why I didn't stream grind, the reason why I did more with videos than streaming and planned on videos for that month was specifically because I didn't want to sit for too long. I didn't want to get that out of shape. But despite going around doing stuff with the computers, doing stuff with some other stuff, getting some things out of here, like the recycling run that had been sitting around since before the pandemic, the old printer and the old shredder that died, that, sat around cluttering things up for too long, that's gone. Stuff along those lines. The network project, where the old routers are now, there's more stability on the network and I have more transparency with devices because I'm running a main router with Fresh Tomato, and I have all the fancy trappings of a not so home network. I have adjustable power on the radios of the routers, custom firmware, a NS lookup names of devices, a main device table so I can spot an intruding device, because it'll be a Mac that doesn't have a name yet. We can check the manufacturer and stuff like that. Of course, that can be spoofed. I mean, anything that exists in IT can, be challenged by something rogue like that. But there's a lot more formal stuff going on with my network now and my wireless than there was before. There's even custom IP addresses. I'm not using 192.168 anymore. So I've got custom IP addresses. Want to add subnets too, so that the IP address can actually, I want to add some special subnets and VLANs so that the IP address can actually tell me whether something's on wired or wireless without me having to look it up on the AP. So set it up, because the two other routers I have are only doing wireless. So I want to actually set up DHCP type stuff with no firewall if possible. So that way I know that a certain set of IP addresses, if I see an IP address, I can tell whether it's wired or wireless. So based on the third number. So we'll do something like that. So yeah, I mean, there was a focus for the last month or so on catching up on stuff that I didn't get to do last year. The alternative to that was to try one of the harder warehouses and just quit if I didn't like the job, because there's a lot of places, and I'll have something to go back to, because there's a lot of places around here that are just struggling so much to staff up that if you actually have a work ethic and whatnot, you can be valued if you go to the right place. Companies, and especially the warehouses around here, have had to part ways, the good ones anyways, with this dismissive attitude towards talent. You can't look at your people as replaceable cogs in a machine. You have to value them as people that actually contribute something and keep your business running, especially in the supply chain world, where a warehouse's ability to run properly can affect direct order fulfillment or retail stores or something else downstream. If the warehouse isn't running well, those effects will trickle into everything after the warehouse. So it's something where, I mean, when I first got involved in this stuff, there were a lot of people that didn't want to work. They were quitting in 2 days. It's one of the reasons why I got into it in the first place, because I didn't actually mind breaking a sweat and getting some exercise from the job. Now, I'm not going to cry about that stuff. But somewhere along the line, these 9-to-5ers seem to have forgotten that things have changed. They're no longer one of the biggest employers in the town. They're an underdog. They have a hard time, if they even can, stay competitive on wages and benefits. And it's reflecting in who they're able to get through the door and whether or not they stay around. So where do we even begin with this? Based on how this week went, I think Project EVTO was a mistake. I don't think I should have done what I did with the computer videos. I don't think I should have done what I did with the e-machine. I think I should have tried one of the harder places around here and stayed there and then shut down the channel for a bit and then come back when I actually figured out how I was going to have time to make YouTube videos again. Because some of the larger companies that do the warehouse stuff around here, they're running overtime all year. So if I'm doing like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and I'm just working and sleeping, yeah, I'll have money I don't know what to do with. But it's probably a better problem to have than VTO all year long, including during peak season, and people not sticking around, and the problems being exacerbated by this culture that is obsessed with not working full-time hours that now exists. When you hire a bunch of people, when you lose a lot of your veteran people who remember when things weren't like this, and you try to hire when most of the time you only have 30 to 35 hours a week, if that. So you're like a Barack Obama full-time job. And he remembers the problems with 28-hour jobs during when the original Obamacare rollout. You know, the definition of full-time under the ACA, Affordable Care Act, 30 hours a week. I'm not keen on being on 30 hours a week being a full-time job. I am not keen on these things going on over in Europe where they're like, oh yeah, let's do a 4-day work week, 32 hours. I'm not keen on that kind of stuff. I want to be able to decide when to get more hours. I want to be able to have some way of getting more hours. I don't want to say decide, because that's what the managers do when they plan labor. But I want to be able to get more hours when I want to go freaking buy something or save up for something. Not have a bunch of crybabies who are so used to the never-ending VTO that they get upset with me because I actually want my hours. Come on, hurry up. I want a VTO. Come on, get the pallets done. I want a VTO. And that's a manager that is out of touch when you have this much of a divide between the people who want to work and the people who don't. And guess what happens in an environment like this? When we get into peak season and they actually have to work 8-hour days. Or perish the thought, how about some overtime? When I first came to this place in the 2000s, they had overtime on such a regular basis that it was an event if you worked a normal 40-hour work week, and they were attracting people because of the overtime. Yeah, you can drive a forklift, make like $15 an hour. Well, back then it was like more like 12, 13, 14. You can make a decent amount of money, and then there's overtime on top of that. Very attractive for people who wanted to, didn't have a lot of skills, wanted to make money. So if they could actually handle getting sore, the place gets a little hot in the summer, don't be a pansy and actually be willing to do some, I don't know, what's it called again? Work? Now, flip that the other way. Company struggles long enough that they're trying to attract people because of flexible hours, because they regularly have VTO. This EVTO thing is the pinnacle of it. When it's pretty much a thing, late winter rolls around. Anybody want to go get laid off for a month? Yeah, so you can go from making... Yeah, so you can go from 500 something take home down to 300 something on unemployment if you get taxes withheld, so you don't have to pay extra state taxes the following year. It was interesting in 2020 because of stimulus unemployment when the government decided to pay people to shelter in place in the pre-vaccine era to cut down on the spread of COVID-19. It was interesting then. Nowadays, every other time, it is garbage. Complete garbage. EVTO, rubbish. You need to have a plan to want that much time and have the money to cover it, which is the position I'm in. Thank you, President Biden, for stimulus unemployment in 2020 and extra stimulus in 2021. I don't think I want to make this a regular thing anymore. As I've run the numbers and I've seen just how much this pounds your ability to even progress wage-wise. Oh, inflation every year. Prices go up on stuff. Your rent goes up. Your groceries go up. Cost of gas goes up. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then you do the math and find out because you're VTOing 2 hours a night and the managers, in the name of controlling labor costs, are trying to make that and to normalize that by not taking any initiative whatsoever to give you something more interesting to do if you want to get your hours besides pushing a broom sometimes up to half the night during the deadest parts of the year. Who do you think that's going to attract? Sorry, I'm not 50-something, I'm not 60-something years old looking to retire to an easier job. I am 40 and disgusted. I'm disgusted at the state of things. The lack of advancement opportunities, even the inability to have a career. Here's how it's going to work if you work here and you're not just like, oh, I just want a job. Here's how it's going to work. You're going to drive a forklift forever while your boss is somebody who's been with the company forever and is basically riding the horse till it drops, as my dad would have said. They got to have a career. Sucks to be you. Go somewhere where there's more going on if you want to have an actual ability to be something besides somebody who just works there. Wonderful, isn't it? Exactly what you're looking for with the kinds of problems millennials and Zoomers have, with the complete lack of stability out there these days. Greedy corporate landlords who decide their investors are the reason why your rent's going up on an apartment that they don't maintain. You know, or some other screwball thing in real estate. Your company is like, save for retirement with a 401k. Then your 401k eats into your ability to have any money when you actually need it. Because your choices are save for retirement and be poor now, or have your money now and be poor later. And we wonder why people are furious about the state of what it means to try and, work in America. Completely ridiculous. So now that the stimulus unemployment thing is in the past, along with a lot of mitigations as BA2 carves up the Northeast and starts spreading to the upper Midwest and other parts of the country, and we're pretending there isn't a problem until the hospitals get threatened now, while all of that's going on, we got to rethink stuff. I think EVTO is part of it. Before I went back, I was already in a position where I was like, I would rather make more money than have the time that I have to make YouTube videos. Because YouTube, here, those of you people that think I'm some greedy bastard for monetizing my channel and for having, where do we even begin with that? Because people have just kicked against the bricks every step of the way. It's part of the culture on YouTube that people hate monetization. It's not like Twitch or anything. People have just kicked against. Good, the mic didn't glitch out. God. Partner program becomes a thing, becomes more accessible. Don't be one of those sellouts that monetizes. The ad revenue starts to tank. YouTube starts having to face the very real possibility they have to redo all their stuff. People start starting Patreons. Don't be one of those people that goes on Patreon and talks about every single video. Okay. What about the value of your time? Which is something that you learn as you get older. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't make any sense to be toxic to a YouTuber when it comes to this kind of stuff. The time you spend filming, recording, editing, etc. would have been better spent even at a minimum wage second job. Okay, stock shelves at Walmart. In a higher minimum wage state, that translates into, we're at what, 13, 14 an hour now? YouTube ad revenue can't touch that. Not unless you have a huge, huge, huge channel these days. The numbers, you got all these people trying to be YouTubers. What do you think that does to the ad revenue? Then you have YouTube writing themselves in a right to monetize, so they're going to throw ads on non-partnered videos. What do you think that does to the ad revenue? and the ad revenue, then you have the use of ad blockers. What do you think that does to the ad revenue? What do you think that does? Does like the numbers stop adding up quickly versus just getting a second job? Yeah, go ahead, call YouTubers money grubbing, money hungry, whatever. It would actually be better if they really were money. The fact that they're YouTubers is proof that they're not. If they really were money hungry, money grubbing YouTubers, they'd quit YouTube and go get a job. Go get another job, work part-time somewhere. Do some flex work on the internet. There's flex IT work out there. Maybe I should stop making all these videos. Just walk away from all this YouTube stuff once and for all. Get out of Susan Wojcicki's little wonderland and just do flex work, data science, database work, programming, coding, learn some new programming languages, get some more hard skills. Jump on Fiverr or something, or Flex Jobs or whatever. I want more money. Let's go see what freelance stuff's available. Freelance like a mofo and only keep the job around for benefits. That would work better, given the state of this company right now, where you can be full-time and working 32 hours a week. Like it's Europe. Or whatever the heck these countries are that are like, let's do a 4-day work week. It's better for productivity. Whatever, EU folks. So, hey, you wanted a rant, you got it, baby. I'm going to make sure to put in the clickable program guide for this too, but I'm brushing up against getting to the Walmart in time to get the grocery shopping done, and I got to come back for a game stream later tonight, so I might be crunching up my schedule here, but hey, this is fun. Let's do it. Plus, I love catching Walmart right as it's, an hour or two from closing. That way, there aren't screaming brats still in the store. Yeah. There's a little something in economics called opportunity cost. And I can tell you the opportunity cost of doing what I did last month sucks. I probably could be in better shape right now if I had done that. And I realize I'm putting the cart before the horse by ranting in this specific direction here. So I've told you, the backstory. I'm in a position where I want to be able to get more hours and be more respected as one of the most veteran people these people have, who knows a lot of stuff and is a Swiss Army knife for the operations, and most importantly, isn't closed-minded to learning new things. There are some people that have been there forever, and they whine about anything that requires them to be flexible. Now, I don't want that to be me. I want to be an MVP of this freaking place if I stay. That's an if at this point, by the way, given how this week went. So I've given you the backstory. Company has struggled for years. They've gone from attracting people because of overtime opportunities, doing blue warehouse work, to attracting people because of flexible hours, because of their never-ending VTO. This has fundamentally changed who and what they're able to get through the door. That's the backstory. And I've told you about, the other side of it too, but I haven't really told you about the stuff in the middle. What happened this week? How about we get into that? This is not, I swear it's not alcoholic. This crap's driving me to drink even if it's not. So, I already knew it was going to be a physical shock to the system, going from relaxing around the house, trying to heal the back a little, doing computer stuff to not be completely sedentary, and go back to the job that I did before the layoff. Call it what it is. EVTO. It's a temporary layoff because things are too slow. And I don't think it's worth it unless you specifically want the free time. I think once the EVTO'd people out of the building, even the reduction in hours is still better than unemployment. So, I knew it was going to be a shock to the system. But I go back, and it's even more of a shock to the system because I have to cover for the dumb entry-level, walk around putting stuff in containers and sending it down the belt job, because every single night they need help. And we're not even in any kind of peak season or promo. So I'm doing more walking than I normally do. So it's even more of a shock to the system. Of course, cool. Exercise. Love it. I come home, joints are all warm. I wear one less blanket when sleeping as I'm all warmed up from running around the place. Great for my heart rate too. it'll crash down into like the 60s from the cardio side of what it is I'm doing. And I could certainly, as a fat guy, use more cardio. I absolutely benefit from being a fat guy, getting more cardio out of the deal. It is something really nice for me. But man, oh man, waking up every single afternoon because it's night shift, feeling like I've been smacked by a bus. I'm fine once I have some tea and I actually get moving again. But oh man, when I first wake up and then after 5 days of that, what's supposed to be my weekend devolves into the classic problem with these people not being able to staff up and me having to bail out this entry level bottom level wage bracket work that they can't keep staffed, whatever. Now, turns the first day of the so-called weekend into a recovery day where I'm like, you know, and on the 6th day, he rested from his labors. Yeah. Here I am, you know, beautiful day on Friday. I'm like, I want to go visit the folks, give them the lava lamp, some pictures, some stuff. We mean to have a father-son get-together because the pandemic's been in eclipse. So my stepmother came down with something. I didn't want to risk getting COVID and getting kicked out of work right after I'd been furloughed for a month. So, but I was like, it's going to be a problem when I go back because I'm going to get clobbered with the physical. I get clobbered with even more physical stuff. Friday rolls around. I'm like, wow, I feel like I've been hit by a bus. Just, And then there's the other stuff that's going on. There's a problem in corporate America where it's a cloak and dagger thing, where managers fabricate performance deficiencies to justify getting rid of people if they want to get rid of them, but they can't give the real reason because it would get them in trouble. I come back to the incumbent managers, you know, those people that have been there forever. They actually got to have a career, unlike you if you go there. Drive them forklifts forever, baby. Oh no, why do people keep quitting? Oh, how come we can't keep things staffed? So, somebody's pulling this crap somewhere up the chain. Some bean counter at corporate or whatever. Some uppity-up manager trying to peacock for their superior or whatever. Or maybe there's two managers trying to look like, no, I'm more valuable so they don't get laid off. Oh, yeah, we had to change a few things around, put certain things under certain job codes. We're changing your job position. I'm like, wow. Just a thing to come back to when I've just turned 40 and now ADEA is in play with me. Thing is, I've heard some angry vlogger type, rant type folks talk about how they had a job in corporate America they got laid off from days before their 40th birthday because their manager didn't want to deal with any age discrimination stuff or whatever. This looked pretty devastatingly familiar. Yeah, we're changing your job around. Well, it's not all that bad, though. So there are some folks... I'm going to have a hard time staying on point with this crap. There are some folks in the building who pick big and bulky heavy stuff and weird shaped stuff. Except for the furniture. The biggest, weirdest, heaviest stuff of them all. At least before I went out on furlough. That's part of how the back injury happened. Didn't want to be the guy holding up the pick when people were picking orders. Had to pick some orders. Didn't have the licensing for the squeezer truck that could pick up like multiple desks at once. So if someone ordered like 2 or 3 desks to the tune of a few hundred pounds, instead of muscling those big boxes over one at a time, grab the squeezer truck, pick it up, and do it all in one shot. So that's part of how the back injury happened. Oh, but it's team lift stuff. Yeah, in an environment where a lot of the people already working there don't like me. You know, I'm the pariah of this bunch. Because, you know, I don't do things the same crappy way they did with the palletizer machine. So I'm in here as the pariah of the bunch. And the people that will actually help me out are a small minority of the team. Most of the time it had to be the supervisor if I needed a team lift partner. At least back when we still had one and the manager didn't get out of his office and just run the department directly because, you know, saving money by not having a supervisor running the dock. Tell you, folks, few things in life suck more than working for a broke company where you can tell they don't have any money by the way they run things. I've been in this position before, 10 years ago in 2012. 2 decades in a row where in a year that ends with a 2, I'm working for a place where you can tell they're broke. Don't have a lot of money, and it sucks. Crap. I was hoping I could actually make some progress sometime in the last 10 years. So, team lifting, yeah, when staffing is such a problem, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's going to be, you're going to mess up something else. So I'm over here trying to use my smarts to my advantage. I have a stand-up rider truck that can lift the pallet in the air, so I can eliminate a lot of the lifting. But what if I drop something on the floor? Yeah, so bottom line, we had a really bad winter where there were a lot of heavy desks going out, and that was what did it. Things are better now because it wasn't repeated with the winter of 2021 into 2022. So hopefully we can maintain this trajectory, or so I thought. But now I come in. Oh yeah, the people that pick all the weird, bulky, heavy stuff are going to be picking the furniture now. After all that time, then people are like, you're going to have to keep picking furniture. It's part of the job. We've had this. That's the way we've always done it. We've had it this way for years since we've had this position available. Now suddenly some bean counter is like, why do you have somebody who is supposed to be in the shipping part of the building handling this selection? Oops. I suppose it's good that the people who actually see, that's part of the problem too, is if you do this type of stuff all the time, you're more used to it and it's less of an issue. But literally it's a feast or famine thing with the physical side of stuff, because the rest of the time you handled stuff that was lighter or awkward, not something that was heavy and awkward. So you spend a lot of time driving around on fork trucks, dealing with, stuff the machine was doing, etc. So basically picking the furniture was the strength training part of the job. And the heaviest desks and other stuff that you had to figure out how to pick when, with a machine were sometimes like 150 pounds. So it's very, 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 very awkward. I learned a few tricks about being able to work with a fork truck to get that picked instead of having to constantly call people over. That's now going to the people that deal with that heavy stuff all the time now. Wow, common sense finally prevails. Cool. Except there's now one of the reasons why I'm doing the entry-level stuff and helping them out every single night is because there isn't enough work to really keep me doing something the whole night. That bothers me because that gets me thinking the position's not as tenable, and they're setting it up to eliminate it. So now once we get everybody trained, I'm supposed to take over stuff involving flipping all the trailers into the doors so that everybody has stuff to load and stuff like that. I have an idea of how much time that takes. Unless the trucking company is having a really bad night, I don't think it's going to be enough to fill a shift during the off-peak season of the year. So there's a lot that's going on right now with this experiment of trying to get me doing different things. It has me wondering if the position is being primed for elimination. And what a pity that would be, because I've spent the last 10 years showing these folks that I don't have to be a disposable nice to have. I am more than capable of doing lots of what's called direct labor, handling product, contributing to the throughput properly, and this is what happens. Yeah. So let's see. Getting clobbered because I'm coming from being around the house to extra walking because I'm covering the entry-level stuff. I'm covering the entry-level stuff because they're having staffing problems when there's not a hint of peak season anywhere in sight. And part of the reason why I'm doing the dumb work in the building is because there just isn't enough to fill a shift now. This was a problem before when I was picking furniture, but it's been exacerbated more by the fact it's been exacerbated more because the furniture pick would be a big part of the night, and that's no longer part of the job. Or at least that's what they want. So, and then there was Thursday, which is the cherry on top of the shit Sunday, as the AVGN would put it. I've spent years getting this position down ice cold. The procedure, ice cold. I use stuff in the system to improve accuracy that the others don't use because I follow the procedure ice cold. I'm one of those people that can actually handle a mathematically repetitive task or a repetitive mundane task. Never understood why I'm so good at that kind of stuff where it doesn't bother me as much if I'm doing the same stuff over and over again. But I'm like that. So I can memorize a procedure. and I can stick to it, not get bored with it and interject my own stuff that ruins how well it does its job. I can actually do things by the book. Even my handwriting. I have the handwriting, and it's probably a good thing that I'm typing everything on these things, on these videos and stuff. I have the handwriting of a little kid, essentially, because the way I was shown to draw those in grade school, I've kind of stuck to it. I haven't really tried putting my own style on it or anything, even cursive. My handwriting looks a lot like a grade school kid because I haven't veered a lot from the way I was taught. I have a little bit of style to what I do, but by and large, if I wrote something, you didn't know how old I was, you could probably think I was one of those people with like the road, remember the road sheets for practicing your penmanship? You know, with the two solid lines and the dotted line in the middle for getting your uppercase and lowercase correct. Yeah, I'm very, very by the book like that. I never could understand why I'm so left-brained in that area, but it's just, I just never understood it. But if you have something that where you need to go by the book, I'm your guy. Because for some reason, I'm very, very good at that kind of rote type stuff, getting everything down ice cold and sticking to it. Sticking to the procedure. And so that also that also involves how I run the main part of the job, which is the palletizer machine. Stuff in the containers of the same size gets automatically stacked by a machine. It's a good job for somebody with a computer background who understands how stupid computers can get, because the machine itself is essentially a computer with moving parts. You use a touch screen for the controls when you have to reset it. If it screws up and something almost falls over, it buzzes out and you have to go fix it and reset it. Well, Thursday night, the manager was upset with me and was calling maintenance folks over to go over the situation. But not upset, but he's like, wait a minute, is that really the right way to do it? Apparently, this procedure that I've gotten down ice cold for the past nearly 3 years with very good results. When was the last time we misshipped something from this machine? Years ago? I catch what the other folks do when they take over the machine that's wrong and can point out and fix it. But this procedure that I've gotten down ice cold over the last couple of years, it might have been unsafe all this time. Wow. Nice. Nothing like spending years getting good at a job to be told you were doing it wrong the whole time. Where is the training? Where is the oversight? Where is any of the stuff that I was wondering where it was when it seemed like the folks in charge were off in a spaceship somewhere in another galaxy? Where was any of this? No, you might have to call someone over to make sure someone doesn't start the machine back up, even if you hit the e-stop. Well, we're going to find out whether this is about the process or whether it's about me and getting me to leave this coming week. Remember I talked about fabricating performance deficiencies in order to get rid of somebody? One of the ways you could do that is by taking the safety route, coming up with reasons why they're working unsafe. Or giving them a dog shit process that makes them either bad at the job or unsafe at the job. So I've already taken the liberties of looking through industrial catalogs for safety lockout devices and stuff like that. The solution to the problem that allegedly is a thing is under $100. Let's see if the folks in charge take the initiative to actually pursue something like that. Or do they get me caught up in some kind of blah, blah procedure that is designed to make me terrible at the job or unsafe at the job? Because I'm furious. If I had had this discussion yesterday, it would have been a lot more colorful. We're demonetized now, but it would have gotten demonetized and stayed demonetized. You don't have somebody do something for the better part of 3 years to become a subject matter expert of all things and then tell them the whole way they got down ice cold is wrong. Now, here's a solution. The issue is that all you have for a lockout device, if you have to say, do something that involves entering the machine, like if something's falling over, you just have an e-stop. There are lockout devices designed to go over existing e-stops and add a key lock so that way somebody can't accidentally start the machine back up. I've seen plenty of them. I've seen ones made out of plastic. I've seen ones made out of metal. I've seen ones that don't that don't require drilling. I've seen lots of different devices that they should now purchase to fix this issue. My prediction, and I hope I'm wrong, is that they don't. They play dumb, and this is all about getting me to leave. In which case, it would have been better if I had done plan B for EVTO. Tried one of the harder places around here and gotten used to it. Especially coming out of peak season with these folks, I wouldn't be in as much of a, start spot physically. Would have been more used to running around. I would just up the running around a little more. If we were doing like 9-10 hour days regular overtime, because the company actually has more going on. I'm already used to wearing safety shoes because I wear them because I used to pick furniture. So I'm already used to wearing around comp toe, steel toe, alloy toe. It wasn't required. There's no shoe allowance here like there is in some of the other places that require safety toe footwear. But I did it anyways because I was already used to it from working somewhere else other than this place. I wouldn't wear sneakers in a warehouse even if it was allowed if you put a gun to my head. Forget it. Soft-toed work shoes only. I want minimum only. I want material on the bottom for hours and hours and hours running around on concrete. It all comes down to whether these people take initiative when I go back. If it looks like they're just sitting there, boo-hoo-hoo, we got to nerf the process. It's one of those situations where you're either malicious or incompetent. There is no third option. It's not often that I say this, but I hope these people make me look like a complete and total moron, because I would like to actually see them do this the right way. Otherwise, I don't know. If you're so aloof that I can do something unsafe for years, maybe we should call OSHA. I don't know. See what other screwball stuff's been going on. There are few bigger smacks to the face, figuratively, that you can give somebody than have them think they're getting good at something and then tell them what they did was wrong for years. All right, let's check out and see if we have to change a few things. Yeah, well, guess what? I'm going to give them a chance to actually take initiative and prove, especially with maintenance people involved, they should know about LOTO stuff. I'm going to give them a chance to prove that this isn't about targeting me and it's about making the process better. If it's about targeting me, we're shutting the channel down in cold turkey and getting out of here. I really don't understand why people have to complicate things as much as they do. Why is it that the simple fact you're getting morons through the door with work ethic problems, why would you want to even give the appearance that your veterans aren't valuable? Makes zero sense. But I've been around the local industrial park circuit enough to know that there are plenty of jobs out there that don't make any. There are plenty of orgs out there where what's going on doesn't make sense. Common sense is unfortunately something you have to confirm is actually there these days. Businesses don't have to make sense either. There are businesses that can lose money because they're being bankrolled by something else and they exist to like mess with a market or something. Usually privately held. Shareholders don't like that kind of stuff. Really. People, you'd be surprised some of the things people do. So, Project EVTO was a mistake. Shouldn't have bothered with it. Has not much to do with the YouTube channel or anybody watching any of this. Shouldn't have done stuff with the e-machine. Shouldn't have done any of that stuff. Should have just left everything as is, worked on making more money, going someplace where there's more going on. I really don't want to spend any significant amount of time this year questioning whether or not these folks aren't trying to pull something to lower their labor costs by getting rid of all their veterans. And who are they going to replace this with anyways? We got people coming through the door that find out that the place doesn't have the money or the hours and they just keep leaving. So it's a constant revolving door. How about people with work ethic problems? People that go somewhere else, cried because they got overtime and quit and came here. I'm sure that'll work well if the building ever gets challenged again and they're working like 10-hour days, maybe even 12-hour days. How about people that know they're working in an underdog place, so they're not going to try and make progression on like how fast they are on fork equipment or something like that. They're not going to take initiative. They're not going to really invest themselves into what it is they're doing. They're just going to go through the motions because they think they can get away with it. Or how about toxic people? How about people that are just, they throw all their teammates under the bus all the time. They complain all the time to the wrong people, so nothing gets done because the right people don't know about it. And now they get to go around just complain even more, and it's just a snowball thing. And then those people get to create a, harassing environment for anybody who's not like that. So that way their potential replacements all get mobbed out the door. You think I've never been in a warehouse environment with unethical people who weren't managers manipulating the place into never keeping any good people because they transactionalize their behavior and they try and make up for the bad they do to the operations by trying to do enough good to offset that so people will make excuses for them? Give me a break. Project EVTO was a mistake. I'm sorry I have to say this. I think I'm at a spot right now where I need to walk away from the channel. Stop being so upset about stuff like this. Get involved somewhere where there's more going on. And then find out what I can still do after I get used to someplace where there's more going on, where it's not like, 85% of the year, you're going to be getting out early every single night because things are just too slow otherwise. And the volume is cyclical. So the staffing has to be cyclical. We can't drop down too low in terms of our core team that's here year round, as opposed to the temps coming in the summer and the winter. What a freaking mess. It is 7:26 at the Geek House. I hope you've enjoyed this little rant. I don't do a lot of ranting anymore, but quite frankly, this was so insulting. This is such a slap in the face. It's like, is that all people want to do anymore is disappoint you? You think you're amounting to something somewhere, you think you're getting somewhere, and then someone or something always slams the brakes on you. And then that becomes the sum total of your adult life, or even before that. And then people on the news cry their little eyes out. Why is there such a mental health problem among people these days? I don't have the foggiest clue, do you? Kappa. Twitch reference is sarcasm, by the way. Holy crap, what an insult. You're blowing this out of proportion. I hope I am. Because the solution to, the big problem on Thursday night costs less than $100. Let's see if these people even acknowledge. Let's see if these people even know what I'm talking about when I mention it. That's the question now. Is it really about improving stuff, or is it about fabricating reasons why? I'm doing well, so let's find ways to knock me down a peg so you can say I'm not doing well. Just like, the building often is one of the best buildings in the network. We're really good at what we do. A lot of times we don't even, on certain numbers, we don't even compete with the other buildings anymore. We compete with ourselves year over year. Did someone somewhere along the line somehow come around and magically wave a wand to find some reason why we're not good? And now that's why all this crap is happening? Really? And what powered that? Is there some kind of like dog eat dog crap going on higher up the chain? I don't know. I don't feel like putting up with it, though. If you work somewhere, no matter how mundane your job is, the best thing you can do is keep it professional. Well, we'll have everything ready to go in case these people show their hand that, this is all about, let's get the old guys out of here, bring in people, pay them less, and then wonder why we can't make our numbers. Because we can't get good people through the door anymore, and we're here pretending it's 2002 instead of 2022. No, sorry. This place is an underdog, plain and simple. Anybody good they have, they should be fighting like crazy to keep. I don't see any fight in these folks, though. What I see is, oh, well, we're losers. And that is fundamentally an attitude that I don't coexist with. Some of you people 10 years ago, maybe you were around then. I took the videos down, so they're not there anymore. Maybe you saw, my depression discussions about the layoff situation. Now, granted, those were legitimate complaints. It felt like nothing I did mattered anymore. It felt like, every time I thought I was getting somewhere, someone slammed a door in my face. I was pretty down in the dumps. It's not the Great Recession anymore, though. It's the Great Resignation. It's not 2012 anymore. It's 2022. There's a lot of things that are in play now that weren't in play 10 years ago. One of them is, what happens when you treat someone like crap? They eventually, if they're stupid, they never do anything. But if they're smart, they start figuring out the opportunity cost, the market side of all of this, because labor and talent is a market. And they figure out, well, you're going to be treated like crap anywhere you go. Okay, if I'm going to get treated like crap everywhere I go, I'm going to get treated like crap where I'm paid the most. If I'm always going to get treated like crap no matter what, let's go somewhere where I get treated like crap and paid more. Let's go somewhere that's not sucking the baby bottle of VTO. Trying to attract people with something like that. Please come work with us. We're going to routinely pay you like you work part-time and you're supposedly a full-time employee. Congratulations. Yeah, you're going to get raises, but the VTO is going to offset the raises unless you push a broom for X amount of hours because we're constantly releasing people early. Just saying that makes you want to crack up. It just sounds so ridiculous. Yeah. And I'm sure that is exactly the kind of sales pitch, sarcasm again, that you would want to have in an environment where companies are under the microscope for exploiting supply chain hiccups to raise prices. So things are getting more expensive. Oh, it's inflation. It's inflation? Really? Too much money chasing too few goods? Really? Explain the quarterly calls then when the CEOs are bragging to investors about pricing initiatives or whatever. Explain corporate profits after tax. St. Louis Federal Reserve Research Division, FRED. Same place I was looking at for the Great Recession economics numbers, by the way. All-time high. It's leveled off, but corporate profits after tax in the United States still an all-time high. Look it up. Why do I need the exact links? Does the browser mode still link up properly? St. Louis FRED corporate profits after tax. There's also one that scales it as part of a GDP. Great Recession chart. Boy, we're going back, aren't we? Make it nice and big. Does browser mode still work? No. New link. Put it on Chrome. Corporate profits after tax, St. Louis Federal Reserve Research Division, St. Louis FRED. Since 1950. 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the dot-com crash, the George W. Bush era, boom, 2008 financial crisis. All the crying and whining about the recovery has been so slow, it's been so terrible, the effects of the recession have lasted for years. Work for $8 an hour and jump through our flaming hoops as we insult you with our onboarding processes, and HR people act like total narcissists. One little dip, Q4 2008, it comes roaring back right in line with what the progression already was by 2010. Then the progression continues until the self-inflicted recession to control the spread of COVID in 2020. But even that comes roaring back, and corporate profits after tax are at an all-time high. If it had followed the trend in the late 2010s, it would be around here somewhere. But we're supposed to believe, my pointer's on the screen, right? Yep, good. But we're supposed to believe that the price hikes are all inflation. It's all Putin's war. It's all this, that, or the other. There are some supply chain disruptions due to the pandemic, but look at the progression of profit. Progression to the 80s, the 90s, boom. Deregulation, da-da-da. But even that, if we take this out, we just make a straight line from here to here, should be going up like this, should be around here, but instead it's way up there. But there's no profiteering due to the pandemic. There's no pushing for prices above and beyond the increase in costs caused by inflation. No. Drink your Kool-Aid, people. Drink your Kool-Aid, little ones, peons, whatever. What about the cost of labor? Should be factored in. That's profits we're looking at, not revenue. Hence my cynicism. Some people say it's paranoia, but it's really just experience. I could probably do like opinion columns on this for a newspaper. Oh, wait, no, people don't read newspapers anymore. Maybe some paywalled news site or something along those lines. Hence my cynicism. The Great Recession is a stain on the life of millennials. Gen X too. I imagine, the crap going on affecting your ability to get to where you can retire probably hits hard as well. But think about that when some boomer out there is like, why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? 7:36 at the Geek House. I have some chores to do, but yeah. I think Project EVTO was a mistake. I'm glad you folks have enjoyed the videos, but it was the wrong path for me to take. It was kind of a coin toss, should I go do this, do that? Should have gone the other way. Should have come back and did the tech videos when I knew I had some free time to do them and scouted out a place where there was more going on, and if I could handle it, staying there. Especially with the numbers involved, the way the Connecticut Department of Labor is handling the unemployment claims for those temporary layoffs, and the lack of stimulus unemployment. If I'm not gone before then, or laid off before then, or constructively discharged before then, the next one of those that I do, I'm going to quit being a baby about this. Where? And I'm going to go try some places harder. You're going to see everything drop off on this channel. Because fundamentally, I think the real American dream nowadays is work-life balance. But truly, with all the crap we've had going on and the way the millennials have been treated and their successors, I think it is believable that we do have an existence today, even in America, despite all of our opportunities before, where having hobbies is a luxury. And this doesn't get any better when I think about all the time I've spent making YouTube videos since 2006. And what I could have gotten for that time, even with a crap-ass minimum wage job. Taking up that amount of hours instead of making videos. It hits you at some point. Just what you've done with your life. So, it feels like a hop, skip, and a jump from 20 to 40. For this next hop, skip, and a jump, if I make it to 60, do I want to be looking back on 40 to 60 and thinking this way? Who would? Does this mean you're shutting down the channel? No. It means that I am cemented as a part-time content creator. And what you saw during Project EVTO is probably going to be less special in a couple of months because I want that kind of be the template for things. Only stream what's better off being streamed. The rest, videos. Because the freedom you get from making videos is amazing. It's what's going to drive more of what we're seeing from these streamers, especially the Twitch streamers being driven to grind by their partner contracts or finding out, no, I can enjoy my time a lot more with a wider range of content. Maybe even with a part-time job or something to set a baseline for wages. And then the other stuff can just augment that. Maybe it's gotten to that point. Why would anybody want to be a full-time content creator with crap like this out there? Yeah. Videos, they seem old school in today's world of streams and short form, but you know what? If you don't stream a certain amount of days, people wonder what happened to you because you say, I'm going to stream these days, I keep having to take days off. You're a little slow on a video, whoop-de-doo, people watch something else. They're like, oh, wait, where's this video at? Hope he's all right. But yeah, Project EVTO was a mistake, and was a mistake. Should have spent the time getting an answer on what it's like to work in one of the harder places around here before I came back to all this crap. And I guess we're going to have to do an actions speak louder than words on this. So how about we conclude with this? I want to be embarrassed and look like an idiot that got all worked up for nothing. Anything other than that, I was right. So I openly invite the folks involved to prove me wrong. Because the way this week went made me second guess what I've been doing for the past month. And there were some intelligent reasons to take it easy for a month. Like the back injury and some other stuff. Catching up on stuff around the house. Getting things done that have been sitting in the box for years, like the e-machine itself. There were lots of good reasons for me to do what I did. And to have 1 week get me second guessing all of it as to whether it was really worth it or not really speaks volumes. So, game stream when it is officially Sunday here on the East Coast. A little bit left on the tech video last time for part 3 of the e-machine thing. There will be a part 4. When I get to it, who knows? But there are other things sitting around that need to have videos made. So it's not, videos represent progression on this channel. Game streams for ESO, Guild Wars 2, etc. represent recreation. So it's a matter of whether I want to have something that still feels like I'm doing some kind of work, or if I want to just take it easy because work's getting too much of a mess. But if these folks want good people to stick around, they got to catch up with the times. They got to realize if you treat people like garbage, they can just make money being treated like garbage at the most lucrative place to get treated like garbage at. You know, and who do they want running the place? You know, as things continue to be the way they are. And even the place I left in similar bad shape is edging them on wages and salaries. And maybe hours too. Who knows? But when you get to this point, you got to stop thinking like it was back in the days when you could be snooty. Otherwise, do I really want to be around when the curtain falls on the little circus here? It's not me. I realize I've spent a lot of time with these folks, and, you know, I've come to respect a lot of them. You know, and I definitely can imagine myself doing stuff like this to pay bills. But before I was anything with these folks, I was a college grad with a tech background. I picked up a warehouse background in addition to the tech background over the last couple of years as a matter of being practical, because this is Connecticut. We're between Boston and New York. We have some highways, and it's a popular state to put warehouses in. So if you want to be something besides working in a supermarket or retail or something, warehousing is a good thing to pick up. Just don't get ground into dirt by Amazon. But I guess we'll have to do an actions speak louder than words thing. That's probably what it's going to take. Almost 3 hours, too. So I guess I made up for the hour and a half of recap earlier. God, I hope things get better. This is like a YouTube stream version of some of the vlogs that I used to make years ago. And it's going to be a rarity. I really don't want to be doing this any more than I really have to. It detracts from the other stuff this channel is supposed to be about. But one thing that's extremely important. This channel is run the way YouTube channels were run during the golden age of YouTube. It's about the person and the personality. Not necessarily about the what, it's about the who. So I'd be a total faker if I didn't bring up stuff like this from time to time to let you folks know that I'm still a real person with real issues to handle. And if it interferes with the YouTube channel, you now know why. So I guess we'll see what happens on Sunday. and Monday. And whether this week is anything like last week. If it is like last week and I'm going and, helping out in the entry-level part of the building, I mean, it is a transition thing where, I haven't learned the other part of the job that'll take up some more time. But I think even when all is said and done, there might be an issue with that. I've spent the last 10 years showing these folks that I can be something more than a nice to have. And I'm not convinced I've done that. Sad. Sad, sad, sad. What's Dan got here? I think videos are fine. I can pick it back up. Making content takes a lot of work. Yeah. So help me God, I want stuff like this that I've done tonight to be an anomaly. Unlike last time when I was constantly doing MultimediaJay radio styles with a black and white picture of some trees that I made look like something out of a horror movie. Where nothing I do matters anymore. No, we're done with that. It's not the 2010s anymore, and good riddance. It's just a matter of taking my place in the world in the Great Resignation. If there's more money to get somewhere else, go get it. Because I don't see YouTube catching up to that stuff anytime soon. If people want to surprise me when I get the memberships up and running on this channel for the tech videos and the gaming streams, please, by all means. But I've just seen so many creators struggling with monetization lately, spread across their platforms, Patreon, even not really OnlyFans, but that's kind of niche these days. So many of these content creators I'm seeing these days are struggling with monetization. So I think the market's catching up to them. I think the creator economy as it is will benefit a few commercial productions, but not the majority of average Joes running YouTube channels. I just don't see that happening. I see a very big zap back to reality, as the old Eminem song goes. Or is it flashback to reality? As people find out the hard way how the world works and has worked throughout this content creation bubble. As for me, part-time it is. I'm supposed to be having fun doing this. So let's back off on all the rant crap and get back to what this channel is actually about. After taking care of the chores for the week. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.